I wish it would have been video.
Well, hold on.
But I think
No, it was. I haven't sent them to you, but all of the matches I got of you that I didn't use your phone with, so I got them on my phone. I have like 4 videos on my phone. Yeah.
Wow, because I know I think Nick had said he stopped recording the amateurs or his camera was overheating. It was a couple things, but so I just assumed...
his phone is black and the sun was beating down on it and it kept overheating. He actually used my phone to record and then I just airdropped him the videos.
Oh, cool.
How's everybody doing tonight? We are live.
Hey.
Yes, we are.
What's happening?
Okay, hold on one sec. First things first here.
You guys are going to love this.
What's that?
Oh, no.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yes.
Who do I credit for that fine artwork?
I like it.
Now I can't stop it. There we go.
Reminds me of like old school PBS shows or something.
All right, guys, welcome to the new episode of the Arm Wrestling Showcase. You all know our host, Kane Fontecchio, and myself, Josh Edwards. Tonight, we have some very special guests with us. We're going to be talking about the Patterson UAL event that happened this past weekend. We're going to be talking about the East versus West finals that happened in Virginia. And we're going to be talking about the Socal Armfest that's coming up in July with some big super matches. Very special guests tonight, Benny, Eric, Jeff, Martin. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Great.
What's up, man?
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Not
Welcome
too
to the
bad,
show.
man.
Glad we have you guys on here.
Absolutely good to have you. So, yeah, we definitely want to talk about a few things today. We want to talk about Patterson, which just passed by. Really big event, the longest standing event in the United States. We're also going to talk a little bit about East versus West as soon as we get Caleb on here, the final qualifier. And we want to start talking about the Armfest that's coming up in Southern California, July 2nd, with a few really cool super matches going to be on that. It's going to be a really blown up mega practice there. And Martin, yeah, you reminded me that we've got the PAL
Vegas
Las Vegas event this week.
And we have Tuolumne. We also have Tuolumne on June 24th.
Yeah.
Let's talk about all of it. Well, let's definitely start with Patterson. So two of the people on here had actually
Three.
Two people had some pretty big days. I mean, Jeff, you got first place in your first pro tournament, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
First place left hand and second place right hand.
And the same thing for Benny?
Yeah, we pretty much copied each
right-handed.
And Martin, you were up there as well, weren't you?
Yeah. I took second in the 185 and second in the 205.
Hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, left.
Massive. Second in
Martin,
205.
It was a big deal for me because it was the toughest bunch of guys and the most pulling I've ever done in a tournament nonstop. So it was a big deal for me. It was a personal victory.
And you had some wars too, man.
Every one was a war.
That's the only thing he knows how to do is have a war on the arm wrestling team.
Yeah.
Martin.
And it was just nonstop matches. Nonstop. It was like with the two classes, I think when you're doing that, they could just go back to back because you're intertwining them. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going from one table to the next table and back and forth,
exactly.
back and forth. Yeah.
Exactly what you're saying. Sometimes it's one match. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The only thing that really mattered to me that day was beating Vince Pulaski. That's it. I was just like, dude, I mean, that's,
that
boom.
was it.
Yeah, it's it. I didn't care what medal.
That was like the one East versus West, king of the table, I'm sure.
Dude, that's it. Yeah, I beat him. I was like, oh, shoot, did this just happen?
Okay.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So
senior or junior?
I mean, I watched Martin get into these grinders, and those are what we look for as competitors. Those are what we search for. I mean, you're left with so much question when you flash pin, or even if you flash pin the guy or he flash pins you. Afterwards, you're like, could have went this way, could have went that way. But when you have those grinders and you have to dig deep and you have to go to all these tools in your arsenal, then you really know afterwards, and it's just a different feeling, man. Just a couple of those wars that I watched you have were, like I said, just super awesome to watch. It gives you those tingling feeling, and you can't help but root for you, man. So yeah,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. It's an interesting way you put it too, about difference between like a flash pin or having to, dig deep into your whole toolbox, you know what I mean, of get through it. It's interesting. I like the way you put that. But thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that makes me think of a young talent on our team named Elijah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a whole lot of talent, and he's just so explosive and so fast.
Okay.
Like that. And I'm real proud of him. He made some training videos this week of him starting to work on his static holds to be able to hang in there in a grinder. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because a lot of the people that have that coming in, that explosiveness, that speed, it's not going anywhere. But it's also not going to it won't be the only thing that you can use in arm wrestling. You're going to get stopped. You're going to get brought to the straps eventually or something like that. And it really is the true test of things when you can get into that center table, grinder
100%.
match, see where you're at. Yeah.
100%. That's why everybody always asks me, like, why do you prefer the hook? And it's like, well, for that exact reason. When I top roll people and I get those quick pins or whatever, it's cool. It feels great. But when I go to the fight head on and I hook somebody, I know afterwards, he can't beat me. I did. There's no question. There's no you went straight head on. There's no running from it. So I don't know. It's just a different thrill that I get from hooking. It's way different. I feel like it's the most battle tested. That's just my personal opinion, right?
Yeah.
But
almost slow, any angle. Yeah, what's up?
Hey Benny, how was your experience with the refereeing?
Dude, it's I give those guys full credit that do that all the time. It is extraordinarily difficult. You got stuff going on all around you and you have to ignore it. And it's a lot different when I'm looking up there and directly looking at Bill Collins going, oh my fucking God, if I, holy shit, he's standing right on the other side. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing my best here. Like,
I can only imagine the amount of nerves that you would have. You got a lot of guys have worked so hard for this match that's coming up or this tournament that they're at, and you have all of that work in your hands. You got to make a decision right there on the spot,
Yeah.
Or miss something or not see something, and it's just it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Luckily for Benny that day, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't the case. Like, it wasn't put on his shoulders like that. Bill took 95% of the reins and was like, just help. So just because of that, Bill knows you can't put that on somebody who's not familiar with it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, you watch Bill watching both sides.
And you know what? Jeff was standing right there when Bill was sitting there giving me a rundown, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do with what I can with what you tell me to do. I'm going to watch the couple things.
Great, bro. You got up there. You helped him. He asked you to help. You had the courage to go up there and went and competed and went undefeated. So you know what? I mean, that was awesome. It was so awesome. And nobody wakes up and is good at anything. You have to learn.
That's true.
I mean, dude, I think it took a lot of stress off my match, dude. I was so freaking tired when I got up to, because just from the heat sitting right there, dude, Bill's sweating, Bill's putting sunscreen on his nose, and luckily I got a little more shade than him. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, after all that stuff, I'm gonna get up there and just, dude, I didn't even hit on anybody, which is funny because if I'm gonna win, normally it's because I'm gonna get someone's hand and flash it or something, and which is opposite to the hook wars that Martin, Josh, you guys like to get into. I love getting into a match, and in that setup, if I can find a hole in someone's defensive, like defenses, that's the most satisfying bit for me. I love cracking someone back like that and going, okay, I figured out your hand. That to me is a whole game in and of itself, and that's where I get the most satisfaction. I think Jeff feels similarly, right?
I would definitely agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Setup, the mind game. Can I find a hole in their hand? Can I, you know what I mean? That's a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, it took a lot of stress off of that, and I just, that's, you know, when I got up there,
that's what I was talking to you about. That's what I was talking to you about earlier. I almost felt like it was a blessing, Bill, asking you to help down rev, because you weren't sitting around for hours waiting to pull and in your head the whole time. You had something else to focus on, and then you're like, oh, I'm supposed to pull right now. And so you just kind of had to think on the fly. So I think it actually helped you, honestly.
Yeah, it did. And I really hope somebody wasn't sitting in that audience behind me going, who the fuck is this guy? Like, or, you know, who's this guy? Like, just sitting right there. Like, I hopefully I just didn't upset too many people. Like, that's,
if anybody got upset, bro, they can go join ballet.
Yeah.
You know, this is everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes progress. Like you were trying and you tried. So like, that's it.
Yeah. You brought up a pretty good point there, Josh. That does make sense. Cause after your match, you are sitting there like second guessing your moves, second guessing your strategy, your approach, how you're going to do it the next time. And sometimes just getting in your head like that is it drives you crazy. I did it to myself with Chewy. I sat there thinking like, how am I going to get past this guy's hook? How am I going to, you know, a hand position? What's the strategy? And as soon as I got up there, it was like, I was so mentally exhausted. Everything was gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, dude, for sure. I do the same shit.
Tournaments are tough in that way. And that is cool that you were able to get hyper focused through, you know, on other things, other people's matches and the process of reffing.
Yeah. It almost like, I wasn't thinking about, okay, how am I going to pull this guy? This guy's hand is positioned like this. Maybe if I come back, no, dude, I just got up there, gripped it. I was like, okay, well, that's my spot. You get what you want. And we'll see who's better. And it helped, man. And
yeah.
It helped a lot.
I can definitely see that. I'm trying to embrace that myself, is just feeling things, you know, stop coming in with too many preconceived notions into a match. Sometimes you just got to feel what you're feeling up there and respond to it. But yeah, it's different for different people. Welcome, Ricky Ramos.
What's happening, Ricky?
Hello, everybody.
Good to have you back on, man.
Good to be back.
And also, Eric, did you also compete in the Patterson?
No, I had a wedding to go to.
You did not?
That day. Yeah, so I didn't get to go. But I wanted to get back to the heat that day. Do you guys think that was the key to your guys' success that weekend, or did it play like a factor?
No, man, it's so mentally.
Okay, well,
for me, I think it helps.
What are you asking though?
But
what are you asking though? Because I mean, it makes sense that the guys who come down up from weather that's 25 degrees cooler all year and they come to this 100-degree heat, it makes sense that would mess with them a little bit for sure. Like I would think so.
I'm asking,
just like football teams maybe snow when they're not used to it.
I mean, all three of them played, and you know, it seemed like maybe they're extra warmed up. You're aspirating a little bit more.
For me, the heat worked in my favor, coupled with the pace. The worse it gets for me, the better I get. So the heat, the cotton mouth, the drinking like 100 gallons of water, that actually played into me. I'd rather be in that than in a air-conditioned room. So for me,
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'll be in an air-conditioned room.
Well,
hell yeah, all day.
Well, keep in mind, two of the two guys on here from the South, Ricky and Martin. We got Martin from the desert. So how hot is it for you right now, Martin?
Today it wasn't too bad. I think high 80s, but you know, soon it'll be 110, 111 every day. You know?
So you're used to it. You're used to it.
Ricky, you're the inland empire, so it's been pretty toasty.
Right here, I mean, it's been really cool out here. Well, I mean, it's been on and off. You know, kind of lightly warm, if you can even say that. Have a 70s, low 80s, but I mean,
have a cloudy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But
heading up there, that NorCal sun was like angry or something.
Yeah, it is.
Biting me in the face. And I recently shaved my head again, so man, I swear, I probably got like a little halo going on, just all redness right here, because there was no shade anywhere. There's a carnival going on, and there's like no tents, no nothing.
Like Nick did. Nick had that towel on his head the whole time.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't even think to do that until the walk back to the car, and then I was like, man, I should have been doing this the whole tournament, because I think that was part of like why I felt burnt out.
Probably.
I think one of the worst parts about it too is when you went to go put your elbow down on that fucking pad, man. It was,
God,
dude,
like trying to drag back, it was like burns. I got
was it bad? I don't know why I didn't notice it, but I did notice Bill continuing to put a towel down on the table. So I kept thinking it's gonna get hot, but I think my head wasn't even there, so it might have been hot. But
when I picked up, when I had to like whenever a shorter person was coming up to the table and I had to grab those stupid metal bars to lift up the whatever that thing, you know, the little
riser, the built-in riser.
That those bars burnt the snot out of my fingers, dude.
Yeah, that
those
was
bars were like you could fry an egg on them, dude.
I'm surprised nobody put a shade canopy on over the top of the table.
We moved it.
We did.
We
did.
The overall.
We put a shade canopy up at the end of the day.
Yeah, right when everybody was done.
Right on.
Yeah, I don't do heat like that. I would.
No, Bill's his main concern at first was, you know, the audience who was sitting down right there. And then as that sun started to move, he was like, okay, we can move it back. It was frying. Like you could even see it on Nick's video. Like that sun is beaming down like a spotlight.
Well, I mean, that's what they were saying. The reason the video was so on and off, and the reason they couldn't live stream is because all the phones were heating up and all the cameras were getting all burnt out.
Yeah, they were using Casey's ice chest to cool down all the phones. They're like,
I was the one that told him to go there because Nick was like, "Does anybody have an ice chest?" I was like, "I think Casey does." You know.
Yeah. But honestly, what is worse? I mean, because I've been to a lot of cold tournaments too.
I would think cold is worse. I don't know.
That kind of sucks.
I mean, cold is more, you know, you get more injuries at cold tournaments, but heat tournaments, you just get like no performance. No one was, I wouldn't say anyone that I saw was really their, you know, in their top form just due to the heat. Because no matter who you are, I mean, I work construction, I'm out in the sun all the time, but still, I mean, you get enough of that and it burns anybody out. Anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a farmer, construction, anything. Too much sun and you're not going to be your best. You're not. You can't.
I just tried my best to walk around and find shade all day long, and I'd move my chair to wherever there was shade and tried to stay out of it.
Look, I'm not in the best shape, right? But I'm not like in the worst shape either. But that one match that I had, there was 5 restarts after like 20 seconds each time or whatever, like grinder, right? I literally felt like my chest was broken in the center when I got off stage. Like it was just like, it was crazy. Like because of the heat, because I was like gasping for air. It was like, dude.
And then to add on top of that, going and buying a water or something to rehydrate yourself was like $15 too.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I just kept walking 3 long blocks to the market. And everything was cheap there. I just was like, no way am I paying this money on these other things here.
I would have found a garden hose or something.
Did they let you bring your own gallons in or anything? Or
I brought my own
ice
chest.
It was just open. Yeah, I mean, it was just open out there,
Yeah, no, that wasn't even the thing about it. We brought a bunch of waters too. Me, Lorenzo, and his nephew took a bunch of waters, but still, we pounded through it just because, you know, there was no shade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my ice chest was empty by like 2:30.
Yeah.
I know by my last two matches, I literally ran out of all fluids. And I literally was running up to Casey and just drinking whatever he had in there. I was like, anything I needed, like in 10 seconds, I got to go back up there. Just because the was so bad.
Hey, Mark, you're just wringing out his shirt right there, huh? Just
let me just wring your shirt out.
I think
it was so cool when I watched you guys walk up, right? When I seen Martin, when I seen you, Ricky, with Lorenzo, when I seen Scott Partington show up, when Jamie was there early in the morning. So cool seeing you guys from the South come up. What did you like about Patterson?
Oh, good question.
Oh, man. I mean, honestly, everything. It seemed like everyone
was
there
was
really
it a cool tournament? Like, did you think it was, besides the heat, I mean, was it a decent tournament?
I would say everything was good about it besides the heat. Everyone seemed super cool. Not only the crowd in the area having a good time, but just us in general, the arm wrestlers. I mean, seemed like a cool crowd up there. I expected a little more ego to come out, a little more, pushing and shoving. There was, one or two, which is typical, but we get quite a bit more of that down here in the South than I did up north. I didn't hear anyone, talking any craziness or.
Between Nora and
Patterson, heat, though.
We were also juiced that you guys were there. Like we were, I think that's what it was. We were like so juiced to see that many of you South representatives coming up. Like not to say that you guys get around everywhere, but a lot of these NorCal tournaments might not be as, big or popping as some of them. And so like, it was just cool to see that big of a group of you guys come up. I mean, it was super awesome. Bill was so excited about that. He was like, man, we keep this North coming up and supporting the South and the vice versa. Like we can make all these tournaments huge, And
the cool thing about it, it wasn't even coordinated. It's not like all of us were like, hey, are you guys going? Are you guys going? We just, we're all like, yeah,
I know when I got up there, I was surprised. I was like, whoa, I saw you, Ricky. I saw Lorenzo, Scott Partington, Jamie. So I was like, wow, this is cool. I had no idea,
Yeah. But, that was the fun part for me because I didn't expect any of you guys up there. And
at least a handful of guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool because I know for guys like Josh and Benny and Eric and I mean a few other Casey, like we like to go down south. We like to be with like the best of the best, and we feel like there's a mixture of that between the North and the South. And it's just really cool to finally be to a point where we're starting to see some South guys like, hey, let's make the trip. These guys have been making the trip. Let's make the trip up there and support their events. And
that's all it was for us, really.
Like you were saying too about like the pushing and shoving and stuff. It's kind of weird. The atmosphere in NorCal, it seems like maybe because we're all a little bit spread out, but we all try to like make it to each other's practices and stuff. It really does feel like a lot of our clubs are close, like family. You know what I mean? Like
definitely a different feel up there.
Yeah, going to Mike.
That's what I actually like between Sonora and this past weekend. I like the vibe. I just, it's a different kind of community. I don't know. It just feels. I don't know. Maybe it's just more of an old school feeling. I don't know, or maybe it's just in my head because I know
agree with you, Mark. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's definitely old school. And, Petaluma and all that. You just have that feeling of arm wrestling originating more in Northern California, or just a different feel, but it's a good vibe.
I get excited.
More of the OGs are up north and more of the superstars are down south. I mean, that's what it is. Like plain and simple.
I always get excited to go to these tournaments though, because it just feels like I'm going to hang out with a bunch of buddies I haven't seen in a while. You know what I mean? That's just legitimately I'll go and chill with guys from the South or guys from the North or people that aren't on my team. It doesn't matter. Like I'm super excited. That's the cool part about this sport. Like you would think that it's egotistical and all those things, but like the camaraderie is great and everybody's so forthcoming with information on technique and everything else,
Yeah, I got all those vibes at North versus South for sure. And not just at the event. I mean, the party house, hanging out with all you North guys, man.
Yeah.
It is a different vibe. It is cool. But in general, and it's always a pleasure having you guys come down. But in general, we're cross-pollinating. We're this last year, man, we're making this state smaller, less segregated. I love it. So a lot of cool things happening. I know we only have you for a little while, Jeff. So, I mean, this is freaking huge, man. It was what, like a month or two ago, you're calling me and we're talking and you're like, I'm wondering if I should make the jump to pro or not, and you had reservations, like, you wanted to take the proper steps and everything like that. You were questioning if you were ready. And, for me, there was no question. Do it, go for it. You're ready. But, that was from my perspective. But my God, you just like put the nail in the coffin of that question at Patterson, man. That's incredible. Yeah. Congratulations, bro.
I really appreciate it, man. And to be honest with you, prior to going to the tournament, I was actually thinking about pulling amateur. I've just like had this roadblock, that's like, well, maybe I'm just like, I don't want to waste the time to go up there and get there and embarrass myself. And I've had some losses in super matches, and really honestly, it's like a lot of really long phone calls with Josh, with my coaches, and people that are really close to me asking, what do you think? And ultimately it came down to, hey, I've had these 3 pretty big super matches with guys that I felt like I was kind of reaching a little higher than what should be normal for somebody with my experience. And I performed well in the first round. Like that's ultimately what has, well, and also you and your guidance too, Kane, to be honest, it means a lot. But like that first match in a super match tells me that if I can pen somebody in that first match, then I can pen them in a tournament. You know what I mean? And it only takes one, unless I meet you again in the finals. And because I was able to get those pens on guys that are, arguably out of my reach, Josh told me over and over again, dude, I think you're selling yourself short. You just need to jump in and see where you're at. And I'm so glad I listened to everybody, because I'm on cloud 9.
Good. You should be, man.
So well, man.
I know if you would have asked me, I would have definitively told you to go open, because for months, I think I only gripped up at you twice. I've always thought the amount of power that you have is insane, and it's well beyond anybody in the amateurs. So
yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's no question of that.
Jeff kicked open the door and marked his territory all over the floor. That's what he did. That's what he did. He let himself know. It wasn't about anybody else, but he let himself know, and that was the cool part about it. And I think that, like, we had some talks about this before, like the difference between like elite and pro or whatever it is. Like people can just call themselves pro, which is kind of a unique circumstance. But you go out there and you get to meet up with these guys who are consistently going to these tournaments and they're doing well or whatever. And these are the guys that end up being in your class. So that was a big marker for him too. Like, hey, I hope that I have at least Michael Kochi in the class and this guy or whatever. He had specific names that he was like tournament hunting, and it happened to work out that way. So yeah. And he told me beforehand, he was like, my left feels way better than my right. I think that I'm just better left, whatever. And he showed it.
I appreciate it.
Pretty good.
I think
a big
part thanks, man. I appreciate it. I think a big part for me too is it's like there's one thing to call yourself a pro and go into the open class and think that you have what it takes to do it. And it's another thing to perform well and then to hear from your peers, hey man, you're a fucking pro. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what clicked the switch for me. Is I've been told by several people that I hold in very high regard, I see you in this class as a professional.
That's cool.
It means the world to me, man. It does.
Definitely.
Jeff, speaking of which, me and you will be running into each other very soon, because I see you're doing well. So now I got you on the radar. Patterson was my retirement from 205, because I actually just got the okay from my doctor. I recently had a couple of surgeries, so that's why I got a little big recently over the past couple of months. But
coming back down.
What happened?
You're coming back down?
I'm going back down. I just got cleared for intense exercise, so I'm going back down to 165. No more of the big boy class, because I thought I was gonna do all right. I mean, this weekend let me know. I'm like, yeah, I'm too old to be in the 205s these days. I'm like, I got my ass handed to me, and it was fun though. It was cool, but that let me know. I got to get back down where I'm at, and got to get back to the heavy training. So I'll be seeing you soon, Jeff.
All right, brother.
I'd like to see that
match. Can I say something real quick? So there's 2 guys, I think all of us, most of us, especially the guys that are kind of new, YouTube has been like the thing that has got us into this sport, and it's watching guys like you, Ricky, and Derek and Devin and everybody else. But since I got into this sport, there's 2 pinnacles on my list. One being Caleb. I want that match more than anything, and eventually I think it'll happen. I get a chance to prove it on the 24th in Tuolumne, and I'm coming for his head. And the other one is Ricky. Like, legitimately, you've been on my list. You've been on my I've had a target around your face for like a little over 6 years now.
Oh, my face! I thought it was my arm.
You that too? Yeah. No, man. It would be an honor, man. And
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what right now. Right here, right now. You take Caleb on. You beat Caleb. You got the match with me.
At 65.
65.
Yes, sir.
Ricky,
yes, sir. Thank you.
Ricky is my arm wrestling dad, bro. Ricky is the man. You'll understand what I mean if you felt Ricky in competition.
Oh, Caleb, are you on, dude?
Caleb's my boy. He's there.
I thought that's why you talked all that trash.
No, I didn't even see his picture. Damn.
No, dude, it was perfect. Like it was perfect. You might have been a little nicer if you knew, dude. That was just right.
No. Look, I knew Ricky was going to bust out the lightsaber. Ricky, put that thing up again. Let me see that lightsaber, man.
That is so lightsaber.
Hey, no disrespect at all, Caleb. I got all the respect for you in the world, brother, and I know that you're a mountain to climb, and I can't wait to start chipping away at it, bro.
Yeah. I know Ricky's
Jeff,
like three or four times in competition. I think I only beat Ricky like once or twice left-handed, never right, ever. His right's just crazy.
Ricky's a beast. He's got the tools, but he's very smart, very experienced as well. I actually wanted regarding Jeff, Ricky, because you are technically the veteran in this call right now.
Yeah.
So you said Jeff is on your radar now, and we're talking a dude with big, strong hands, just like yours. His hand's bigger than mine, and it's a strong hand. What is it you're seeing from your perspective, and what did you think of his performance at Patterson?
I liked his laser focus. He knew what he wanted, and he was hungry. And honestly, these days it's few and rare to see that in someone's face where they want it. They put everything to the side. They're not thinking about, the chores they got to do when they go home. Because you could see that on a man's face when he's not fully there, but he's kind of there. And you're like, you see it specifically on your buddies that you know really well. You're like, you're doing all right. But you could see something else is in there. I didn't see that in Jeff. I said, okay, this guy, he wants to keep climbing. He wants all of it. So, yeah, I feel as though he deserves to start, making his way to the top. But that's going to be on him. He got to keep doing good. He got to keep climbing. And, can't be like some of the guys that, I feel like I deserve this. No, show it. Show it. Walk away quietly, be respectful. And that's how you get your matches. That's how I got my super match with Alan Fisher, talking to him, grinding him out for information, always being super respectful of him because he don't take super matches from anybody,
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a couple tries to really get him to be okay with it. It took me, I want to say, probably about like 6-7 months of asking for him to finally agree to it. So, when you get to the top, you got to earn the guy's respect because you may be super strong, but if they don't give you the chance, hey, who's going to know what you are? And you could say, I deserve it. I deserve it. No, it's up to those above you to say if you deserve them. And I think Jeff is well on his way, just like Caleb. Caleb is, my God, he's getting scary at this point with some of the shit I see out of both of these guys. They got it in them, and that makes us old dogs right there, Caleb. I'm digging in my bags of tricks, because that's my thing. My thing is to be the smartest one at the table at all times. Maybe not the strongest, but always the smartest. And I'm digging deep in my bag of tricks for these guys because, that hunger can make just random shit happen. And that might be, what it is that takes the win. So these guys are definitely coming up, and I'm very proud of them because they're putting it in. And, sometimes you got to put life to the side for this. And if they're doing that, then I see nothing but good coming from them in the future.
Hey, thank you so much, Ricky. That's awesome, man.
Absolutely.
Well,
hey, and I
say what I see. And honestly, if I didn't like you, I would just tell you because I'm straight up with everybody. If I don't like you, I just don't like you. But you guys have been nothing but cool with me, nothing but respectful, and I got nothing but respect for you guys. Especially Caleb, man, that's my fucking boy right there. Never been anything but respectful and just a monster on the table. Nothing but respect for the guy.
Hey,
whatever he needs from me.
In more work than anybody I know in this game right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, he
deserves whatever he wants.
Caleb is setting the mold for guys that are hungry in this sport. Like right now, especially in this weight class, he's paving the path and saying, "Hey, look, if you want to be serious about this, you got to follow in my footsteps, because he's posting, training videos and going to tournaments and going out of state and doing all the things that he needs to do to level up in the sport. And it's inspiring, and it's, kept me chipping away at those things as well.
Yeah. He's the total package, not to harp on the same thing, but like when you watch the guy, he's humble. Like you're saying, Ricky, he's respectful with people. He puts in the hard work. He shows that he has his own character that's him being himself, but that loud yell that you hear in his voice, him across the room, wherever you're at. And it's exciting. He makes his match exciting. He has the whole thing going. I've said it from the beginning, like the dude is literally my favorite arm wrestler to watch arm wrestle.
Yeah, I think also my family has come to like 2 events, and every time I go to an arm wrestling tournament, they go, "Hey, was that? Oh yeah, guy there?" And I'm like, "You're talking about Caleb," because that's how they remember him. Every time he pulls, just loud and very. His personality shines through his arm wrestling for sure.
Yeah, there's
so
something.
Real quick, Jeff. Sorry, my bad.
Go ahead.
Real quick, Jeff. So what's the move for you? You talked about Tuolumne. Do you have any super matches, in mind, or are you going to focus on tournaments?
So I've called out some big names in the sport, and it hasn't worked out too great for me. But there's a couple guys that are coming up right now that I want to recognize at the tournament. Chad, what's his last name? Josh
Keller.
Oh yeah, Keller. He did good. He first and second, or first place in both hands in his weight class, in the amateur class, and he reached out to me and asked if he could get a super match, and I've accepted that. So as soon as possible, we got some family stuff going on, so we're trying to plan a date.
Chad is basically the same, very similar story to Jeff. He just has, a bit less time. Like Chad is coming up on a year in the sport. But the last 3 tournaments that he's been to, he's double gold on both hands. He's showed like a consistency as a dominant amateur, like, at that weight, and he's just continued to get better. He has that old man strength. He's a correctional officer. He's, 40 years old,
Yeah, something I just want to say, Jeff, earlier, Ricky was mentioning what your drive and focus. Yeah, that is definitely, I mean, you've got a competitor's mindset and demeanor about you. I noticed it at North versus South, before the event, during the event, after the event, and there's not a lot of people that have that. I can think of one in particular. I think Caleb is the same way. It's just hard to see it sometimes because you're so like loud and proud and very charismatic at the table. But there's a focus. And to be honest, Andy Langfield, I think has that too. I've been to a few tournaments with him and kind of just, been in his corner. And yeah, you guys are the only ones I can really think of where that just feels very, very prominent, And yeah, I think just with that attitude, that hyper focus, it's a champion mindset. Just keep going with that, man.
I think if I had to like sum it up and like try to explain what it is for me, it's hard. But like in school as a kid, competing in sports and stuff, I always had regrets after I became an adult. I had kids young, and I always had regrets. Like I didn't feel like I really laid everything down on the line and gave it my all in anything that I'd done. And I always told myself, if I ever got a chance to compete in something, or if I can go back in time, I would have done more just to see where I could have, what levels I could have taken it to. And then I find the sport of arm wrestling, and I find out that I'm pretty decent at it, and I work at it, and I succeed, and I level up, pretty consistently. And now it's like, hey, I got the second chance that I've been wanting forever, and I'm going to take advantage of it, man. I'm more hungry at 35 years old than I've ever been for anything that I've ever done before.
Right. Yeah. I guess the only way I can like really picture it or put it into words, because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of competitors in sports that believe they give their all, you know. And I think that the definition of what that is going to be different for different people. And I the way I can kind of picture it for like you or Andy or Caleb is you can like throw 10,000 distractions at them before an event or in between competitors at a tournament, and there's nothing that's going to break that focus, you know. Just anything that would be personally enticing for that person, it's just going to bounce off like rocks, and I can see that. But yeah, I've also been wanting to give that little bit of a shout out or observation for Andy Langfield. I expect some big things for him as well. Just want to put that out there. He's a very, very serious person, like you, when it comes to this sport.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I've lost to him 3 times already.
To Andy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tough one, man. But yeah, you guys are both on a really good journey. Mr. Benny Ringer, you had quite the performance as well at Patterson. Now, you just started pulling 1 year ago, and Josh, we were talking earlier. Can you break down how this last year in terms of competition has been for Benny?
Yeah, so I mean, Benny comes over to my house last year, right before the compound tournament that Christian and them held. He came over to my house and you know, we're arm wrestling a little bit, and I was like, man, you know, it'd be really cool. This tournament's coming up next week. Come with me. He goes 2 and out, you know. He's like, man, I shouldn't have did this, you know, whatever, this and that. The whole drive home, I'm, you know, talking to him, getting in his head a little bit, letting him know that, you know, he could have tried harder. You know, I dug him out a little bit in a friendly manner. But moving forward then, so he goes to his next tournament and he gets a pin, right? Or he goes to his next tournament after that. His second tournament was Riverside, the locked and loaded qualifier, right? And then he goes to his next tournament after that, and he gets 2 wins, right? And then he goes to his next tournament after that, which was the Fit Expo in January, right? And he gets 4 wins, right? And 3 losses. And then he goes to Patterson, which is his 5th tournament in 11 months. And he went undefeated on the right hand. And yeah, had some really cool matches and did really well. Super excited. Not only that, he was asked by Bill Collins to help down rep, and he, like, you know, is brand new, doesn't know nothing. He told Bill, hey man, I'll help, I'll try. But so while he's working and trying to do that, he's sitting there, you know, whooping fools on the table. But it was just super exciting to watch because Benny's been really hard on himself, like not really hard on himself, but really wondering, like, I don't even know if I'm that good, or these guys are whatever. And I'm like, nah, dude, like, trust me, your hand is crazy. Like, his hand is nuts. He, you know, just once it dials in, and I think it's starting to dial in. He's not, once he gets a dominant spot, he's making them fight. He's not trying to rip away from there or anything and give away anything that he took. So yeah, I mean, the progress is amazing. To watch him smile, like, I was so happy watching it. Yeah, it was crazy. So super awesome last year for him.
I've definitely always been told there's nobody harder on me than myself. So, but really, I think the thing that helps me is when I'll sit there and bug. I mean, Caleb can attest to this. I don't care who you are. I'll ask you, hey man, I don't know what I'm doing here. Can you show me what type of angles to hit? I've pestered Caleb for sure. I mean, yeah, for sure, man. And I'm not afraid to do it. If somebody, says, hey, not right now, that's fine with me. But the road to learning for some people can be hard. Some people can come in there naturally strong in a certain way. And I did have a little bit of a hand coming into it, but the way to use it didn't click for me right away. But everything seems to be coming together, and I'm not afraid to take a loss, because you learn more in a loss than you are when you take a win. I mean, I truly believe that. So.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of that progression for this last year, if you were to compare it to, say, like weight training and tracking yourself in the gym, the word they have for that is gains. And
yeah,
if you track your performance this last year with tournaments, those are gains, and it's really important to look at, because that means every single one you made an improvement.
Yeah.
So good on you.
Not only that, he was so focused on his opponents. Like, you could, even though he had everything else going on, he knew, he was like, hey, because his class was big. I mean, there was like 9 guys in it or something. I mean, it wasn't 2 or 3 guys. There was one guy who was like flash pinning everybody. I mean, he was so fast, right? And then he was
What's
like,
his name?
I don't even know his name. He's from the Bay Area somewhere, I believe.
Okay.
But I mean, he was just whooping everybody, right? He's just like boom, 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 just whooping everybody real fast. Nice hit, everything. And we were talking about it, and Benny was like, if I meet that guy in the finals, man, I mean, he's fast. We literally game planned, and talked about like how to make it to where that guy couldn't hit, taking that away from him, taking away the comfortability with the post and the rise, and like pressure back into the thumb, in the setup. And yeah, like boom, the guy didn't move him but an inch off the center, and Benny just curled his hand over, and
nice.
Couldn't believe it was that easy. But yeah, like once he, Tom Nelson even told him, he was like, dude, just trust your hand. He was like, you have a freaky hand,
Holy shit.
That's one of the best pieces of advice I'd ever had. It was I just show up to Mike McGraw's in Turlock one day, and Tom was there, and I'm like, oh shit, I've watched this guy on TV when I was a kid. Like, this is wild. So naturally, I'm not scared to ask anybody. I walk up to him, hey man, I'll pull you. I don't care what what's going on. And he's like, all right, cool. And we start pulling, and he's like, he thought I had been pulling for like 3 or 4 years or something, and I'm like, dude, that's already a compliment. I'll take it, And he told me that certain people can move their hand in a certain, because even when he brought it back, he said that no matter what, I tried to keep my hand the whole time, which is, I don't know, but he told me to just trust it, and you got to trust it. That's just what he told me, and I've never forgot that. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you mentioned to me a little bit earlier how Josh has also impacted this past year. Can you touch on that?
Nobody has impacted me more than that. That's he's a phenomenal trainer. He'll tell you what you need to do to keep moving forward. He'll see where if you hit a hurdle, he'll tell you what to do to pass that hurdle. I mean, he's the most knowledgeable person. I mean, I like I said, I met quite a few pros, some big names out there. Nobody seems to care more about helping somebody and giving them the path to victory than Josh. I've never met anybody that's more willing to help you and to tell you what path you need to take as your next steps.
Yeah. He'll stay on your ass like the entire time. And like,
oh yeah,
where are you going here? You better get over here. You better,
Oh yeah, and it's he does it just because he cares about the sport in general. It doesn't even.
Yeah.
He could be somebody that he doesn't even know, and he wants them to do well. That's just how Josh is. So that's my biggest respect to Josh.
You guys are assholes.
So what's up, Josh? You breeding our future champs up there? What's going on, man?
He is.
Hey man, I'm humbled, man. Like, I'm learning every day. I don't know anything more than the next man. Maybe Benny said something that clicked with me right now. Maybe I just care a little bit more than a lot of people. I don't know. But that's amazing that you guys say that. I mean, hey, thank you. I'm glad that what I'm trying to do is helping you guys, because that is my goal. I mean, that was the whole reason I made the shirts and made the team, and tried to create that brotherhood feel because I honestly, with everything I've done in my life, doing the kids charities and things like that, like I always believe that together people achieve more. So yeah, thank you guys. That's a huge compliment. I'm glad I can help.
Heck yeah. Well, but before we keep, we've got all kinds of stuff I want to talk about, but let's just say hi to the chat. We got Paul Stevens in the house. What's up, Paul? We got Todd Calazo in the house. What's up, Todd? Yeah, we were talking a little bit about Elijah earlier, if you didn't catch that. Just dedicated young athlete, and love to see those static hold training exercises he was doing this week. Good stuff. Might have been last week. And Todd also says, I love ballet. I think that was in response to you earlier. And we've got Jaden Knight Sr., the man, in the house saying Patterson is always hot. We've got Olivia Sanchez in the house. Yeah, it was hotter than hell. I don't know how you guys competed in that. Just a bunch of badasses doing what they do, Olivia. And yeah, Jaden says, hope they had the beer truck next to the event.
Right.
Always.
We got Josh Hutchison from Florida in the house.
John.
Did I say Josh again?
It's John.
John.
I don't know how you
You'll always be Josh to me, John.
I don't know how you do that.
I'm sorry, man.
I think that's the best part of our continued podcast that we've done.
There's nobody else I have a hard time with calling John when their name is John. It's something I just want to call him Josh so bad. All right, so he's in here. He says, what's up? And we got Tony Ringer in the house too, giving a little flex arm.
That's my mom.
That's the relation? All right. What's up, Mom?
Yep.
The Ringer family.
That's right. So, yeah, Martin and Ricky, were you there to see some of Benny's performance?
I was on and off. Honestly, I was trying to hide out. I didn't really get too much, but yeah, definitely looks very solid from the bit I did see, and to hear that he's that new, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ricky. Thanks, man.
Yeah. It's few and rare that we get him straight out of the box going that hard and doing that well. So if you run with it, there's an opportunity there.
I'm running with it. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I got my sights on the pro class soon. So that's a stacked class, dude.
Benny is that primered hot rod that pulls up next to you that you have no idea what's under the hood. That's the cool part. He's so unassuming. Right?
It's true. It's
look
true.
How many people... look at his comb over. He has a soccer dad haircut.
You know how many people after I arm wrestle, I can hear them. They'll walk down. They'll be like, "That guy didn't look very strong. What did he do?"
That's a weapon, bro. That's a weapon.
That's a tool in my book. I'm gonna use it.
It is.
Use that.
They underestimate
milk it, dude.
But you know what Ricky said earlier, though.
Weaker, like whatever you got to do, go up there.
Hey, Ricky had said earlier too that he may not always be the strongest one in there, but I'm going to always be the smartest one. That's a mentality I take to every match too. And I'll come up there and I know I don't fire up, I don't yell, I don't shake the table or anything like that. But that doesn't mean that the cogs aren't turning in there. So.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah, so that's an approach I take is I don't know, it feels like calm right before the match, and then right after that first match is over with, I'm calm the rest of the time. I don't get nervous again after that. So
now the hard part is trying to have that mindset like I do, and then trying to put that in the body of Caleb. That whole violence he has. I wish I could have 10% of what Caleb's got going on. I swear, I see it every time, and I'm just like, man, I'd give so much away for just a bit of that, just a taste of what that feels like to have that much in me.
Caleb's commitment from any angle.
That's what took Caleb to East versus West. So maybe we got to start working with him and find out how to get a bit of that in us.
Yeah, Caleb's the embodiment of test your frame for sure.
You motivate me, Rick. you know, and I really want you to come back to the class, you know, so I'm happy. You know, I've been chasing you for a while, bro. My arm wrestling dad, for real.
All right.
And much love to all you guys, bro. I forgot to.
Yeah, no, you see it with Caleb, man. When we watch you, man, like it's there. I hear so many people, and everybody has their own prerogative. Like I love what Derek had said when he was talking about, you know, some people just like to come to practice and drink a beer and arm wrestle, and that's cool, right? But I hear a lot of people that are like, it's too far. I can't go here. I can't go there. Look, I watch Caleb's videos. He has 2 videos that the only 2 things he does, works and arm wrestles. That's all you see the guy do, right? And so he doesn't make excuses. He travels across the freaking, you know, nation, going all over the place to put his neck on the line. That's how a champion is made. It's no excuses. It's like Ricky was saying, you're not thinking about your chores, whatever else you have to do, you're thinking about your goal. And he shows it. You know, I haven't seen him make an excuse. I haven't seen him say any place was too far. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's awesome.
And he runs off of
Caleb makes a
fruit roll-ups
7-hour
and
trip
Takis.
to it.
What was that?
I said Caleb's made 7-hour trips just to come practice with Alpha. I mean, I don't know anyone else that does that just specifically for us. He don't go to, you know, try to beat anybody or, you know, make a point. He just does it to be part of the family. And because of that, he's part of the family.
I do that because I watch Caleb. I do that. Okay.
Hey, Caleb, you're already leading the way, my boy. I told you.
He is. He is. I mean, like you see it, and it inspires you, and it's like, boom. This is the path that like champions have to take in this sport, and it makes sense. I mean, you know, we're the entertainment at these places that we go to, but we pay to compete. It's different than any other sport. Like you have to actually love this in some type of way to compete in it, because you're paying to travel to go and get there most of the time, you know, unless you're that top dog that's, you know, they're paying your hotel, your flight, and giving you some money. But for the most part, we're paying to go and compete in these tournaments and you know, as the entertainment. So it's a little bit different. It takes a certain type of person, I feel like.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
So we've got John Hutchison. Responding to my madness, laughing pretty hard. And we've got Olivia Sanchez saying Josh is the most caring guy I've ever met in the sport so far, and I come to every event. He literally will meet a guy for the first time and immediately tell him his strengths and how to take that farther. And that's a good thing to do for us all. If there is something that we can mirror each other off, yes, it's the champion mindset of Caleb. But yeah, to be able to, in this community, to look at each other's strengths, really seek those out, you know, and try and give them confidence in those strengths, just the way Tom Nelson did with you, Benny. Regarding your hand, it really does go a long way to, you know, really help somebody capitalize with the things that they do have going for them. You know?
RTM is our motto: recruit, train, motivate.
Yes. So well said, Olivia. We also got Robert Kelly in the house saying, what's up? What's up, Robert? And so before we move on, I do want to talk a little East versus West qualifier with you, Caleb. But we still haven't brushed up with Ricky and Martin in terms of your performance and perspective with this tournament. So I suppose, Ricky, we'll start with you. How did you feel about your performance, the weight class that you came in at? Talk to us about Patterson.
Well, as a couple of you guys know, I've had some health issues that have kept me off of really heavy pulling for probably almost going on 2 years now. It's been for sure over a year and a half. So probably about a year and a half since the last tournament before LA, when Florida came through. That was my first tournament in over a year and a half, and I actually did okay. Specifically left hand, I won the 205 class, and right, I think I did all right. I honestly don't remember, but I mean, the healing process has restarted for me, because I mean, coming into this tournament, I still didn't feel 100%, but I was like, you know what, fuck it, you know, Alpha don't turn down. So I went in and I didn't do good at all, but you know, I don't belong in 205 anymore. I don't really have the build for it anymore. So yeah, I didn't do too well, and I wasn't strong enough. These other guys that were in there, I mean, like guys like Matt Hughes. Oh my God, I'll say it like right now. That guy hits like a freight train, right-handed. I mean, I thought my bicep almost popped off just because of how hard he hit me in that first round. And yeah, I mean, my hat's off to those guys. They all killed it, but I mean, I don't belong up there with them anymore. So they won't be seeing me again for quite a while until I'm, you know, old and, you know, all sloppied out. But yeah, I mean, I'll be back soon, coming back down and reclaiming my my second place throne to the king, Mr. Alan Fisher, in hopes of taking him out of his spot. Because he is still number one here. So he's all I want. I could be 300 pounds, and all I want is Alan Fisher. And I'm going to get him one day.
Somebody has to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm, you know, pretty much genetically the only guy that can match him with the hands. So I figure, you know, I may not be as tall or long as him, but there's a couple spots we get into where, you know, we've talked about it, me and him, and he said, if you just, you know, got that spot, I'd be in a bad spot. So knowing that he has that respect for me, that gives me, you know, that puts the carrot at the end of the stick for me. But honestly, more important than me in this tournament was Mark, the diesel, because that guy, I don't get how, but after every match he gets stronger. Like Mark, yeah.
Really?
I just don't get it. After every match, keep getting stronger and stickier and stiffer.
That's just one of my. I think that's just one of my things. You know, even in practices, like 4 or 5 hours in, I'm just hitting my groove. So you know, I think one of the bigger problems for me is I don't do well pulling fresh. So my first 2 matches, I always get destroyed, like blown open.
Yeah,
and I got to warm up my arm a lot. I got to subject it to a lot of pain. So like, you know, I'll warm up my arm for like an hour. You know, I wish there were people around that you could actually pull with. You know, I know in Europe, they'll have like a lot of tables on the side and they'll have guys that are not competing that day warm you up. If I had that, I know I'd be way better. But for me, I take like that first loss or 2, and I'm pulling 2 classes. So I took a loss with the 205 and then the 185. And then after that, I think it was like 7 or 8 wars nonstop. Like you saw, it was like 30 seconds between each match. I think I must have went like 20 minutes nonstop. But the more it went, the better it went. And I honestly believe that had they not brought it down to the top 2, you know, like an hour later, I think I would have had a way better chance of winning. That wait, that 1 hour wait, really throws me off for 2 hours, you know. So I wish that the match for first would have been like 10 seconds after my last match. I think it's just a freak thing that I have. But for me, getting back to, I thought Patterson was my best performance ever, and it was the best tournament. So even though I took second, it was the toughest competition, the most amount of times I had to arm wrestle, and shit just clicked after the go, you know, for me. I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing when I grip up, but somehow something catches. And if I can catch it right there, even if it's most of the matches are like within a half an inch of my losing pad, and then I hold it there for some ungodly amount of time and come out of it. But it seems to be working. And I think the fact that I've done so many tournaments in the past, I think I've done 4 in the past 6 weeks, or this Vegas will be the 5th. I've barely been doing practice. I've just been after pulling and doing tournaments. And that seems to have caused the most amount of progress for me over the past. So I know people talk about like doing a lot of practice solely, but I think a lot of times people maybe don't mention the idea of doing a lot of tournaments. For me, the whole is the tournaments, the ready goes, and getting the nerves out of my head so I can actually think. But so that seems to be working out lately.
You know what, Martin? I actually have a question for you. Did you start with that type of I'm going to call it endurance? Have you always been able to just pull?
Here's the thing is, I used to be a competitive bodybuilder from my teens until my mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always a person that trained with an incredible amount of volume. So like even to this day, I train arm wrestling specific 3 hours, 6 days a week. So I got up this morning, I trained my pronation for 3 hours straight.
Yep.
From 5 till 8 o'clock in the morning. I do an excessive amount of volume. It's just how I feel. So I do heavyweight, lightweight, statics, everything. It's just something I did. When I used to bodybuild, I would do 40 sets just for biceps. So I think that, and I like to train to failure. It's just something that from the age I started competing in bodybuilding at 15 years old. So I think I started training at 13 weights. I think it's just all of those years of being able to push sets really deep. And if you train your pronation or your back pressure for 3 hours straight, your arm, it's like, I think my arm is like a marathon runner just for like the arm. Not so much in technique, but endurance, it's nothing for me to continue to go.
Wow.
You know,
okay.
I think I would probably do good in a super match format, although I've never had one. I've never even had a practice super match.
Really?
I never have. I've never had a super match ever. I
know that up like a big one, like a lot of rounds. Like
I would love to see that.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to do like literally like I'd love to do like 6. I'd love to do 10 rounds. Honestly, I just
I'm right there with you.
Endurance
rounds.
I kind of want that match, Martin.
Ooh,
I was
gonna say that too.
Hold on, Kane. Hold on, Kane.
Say that.
It just sounds fun. Think of me when you feel like you want to have that long ass match.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Left-handed. Let's make it
absolutely. Everybody here heard that, so I definitely. You're the guy then. Then I'll just wait until that time comes.
Why don't we do a stream with you guys doing a match, and it'll be as many rounds as you can do until one of you give up.
Oh, dude, he's gonna win. He's gonna win that probably. No, but there are people that are really strong that have that. Just I don't think quite like you, and that is interesting that you.
Hey, you know what? I took a compliment in Modesto when I pulled Devin. Mm-hmm. Okay, he literally I pulled him I think for 5 minutes straight, and he literally turned and like had people applaud for me and told me that he thought my endurance was off the charts. Then 3 days later at Alpha, when I went up to the table, I think Ricky, you were there that day. I pulled him, and he said the same thing to me. So, getting it from Devin just voluntarily, telling me that I had insane endurance, kind of is pretty cool, you know.
Yeah. The volume and the hard work definitely has to play a part. I found it really interesting that you were a bodybuilder that trained with high volume. That's not very typical of a bodybuilder.
It's not these days, but
yeah,
like I said, I'll be 50 on Monday. So I started training at a time that was this was mid 80s. And in those days, high volume was really big. And my grandfather was a bodybuilder from the 1940s, and high volume was big. So I grew up at a time where that was just a normal thing. You know, you would train a body part every other day. There was no like, oh, you need 72 hours to recover. Like, you know, where I trained, I grew up in New Jersey, you know, guys would be in the gym 6 hours a day. There'd be guys training their biceps like every day of the week. Like, you know what I mean? So I think I just grew up in that. And as time went by, even now, like, you know, so much more nowadays about like, oh, recovery, or you should only do low volume or whatever. But I've tried both ways, but in my head, it just kind of gravitates back to a lot of volume and instinctive training, you know, and I got to enjoy it. You know, if I enjoy it, then I'm prone to do it, you know? So
I'm not going to drop the names that like, offered me this tip. I don't know if we talked about this before. But, are you waking up that CNS system and like warming up hard? Like, are you actually pulling hard now? That was a tip that a few people that are similar to you that have that struggle waking up at a tournament a lot of people will warm up just kind of like softly, just get the blood flowing. But there's some people that they need to get somebody strong.
I need to warm up really, really hard. Like, I'm pulling on a really hard band. I've taken my arm and like literally this weekend was like hitting it into signpost onto metal scaffolding. Like I need that bone pain, or I think at some tournaments recently, I've told like guys just like tear me open as hard as you can.
Hey, I think something's wrong with your nerves.
No, and it's weird though, but
or
like
something right.
It's strange, but and it can seem odd. I know a lot of guys like to be fresh in arm wrestling, but it's kind of like what powerlifters will say. Like take a guy like Brandon Allen. You're not going to go into a powerlifting meet and open on your 1,000-pound squat. That would be insanity. But in arm wrestling, you tend to see that happen a lot more. Last year at the Arizona tournament, at the super match, I remember I was standing right next to Giannis and Coach Ray, and they were really upset that there were no tables on the side to warm up. And I actually asked Giannis about that, and Giannis said over there, he will have guys on his team, and they'll almost progressively do like 3, 5, 6 matches, 10% harder on each match prior to their actual match. But at one point, I watched Giannis and Coach Ray get on the floor and literally start arm wrestling each other. And I think that's just something we don't do here, but the setup in Europe's different, But they were really flabbergasted by the fact that there were no tables on the side for pullers to warm up.
Yeah,
I've seen Heracli do it. Levon. I've seen all of these guys, like this backstage footage in Europe, doing that. I know Bogdan Stojka has done some videos about that, about literally like pulling progressively harder prior to his matches, to the point where he's almost at 100% before he goes out onto the table. And I know for me, that would be a godsend. I wish I could have that. I just don't know how to deal with that. Because I can't even. Josh has done it with me, up in Sonora, at least, standing up and pulling. But trying to find a guy that's willing to pull with you when most of the guys there are pulling the same day and probably the same arm, they're not going to touch it. And I have full respect for that. It would just be cool if you had some people around, almost like in the porn industry, like an arm wrestling fluffer. That would just be willing to like pull on your arm for a while. It's not competing.
Well, you gotta think about it. Like,
I'll be your boss here. No, because I haven't found that middle ground yet. I've gone tried to warm up a little bit. It didn't help me, and then the next tournament I just didn't do anything before because I was like nervous about it. Maybe I warmed up too much. It was like the worst idea ever. So maybe we can pull a little hard and see where it goes, because I feel like I need to warm up in that idea state.
Because listen, there's no other sport that you're putting your body on the line, not football, not basketball, not track in the Olympics, where you see them going in cold. You see them stretching, you see them doing drills, you see them doing all these things before they go out to compete at a high level.
Look at pitchers. Pitchers warm up a lot before they actually step on that mound.
And and I do believe it's individual to everybody. You got guys like John Brzezinski who said they don't warm up. I watched a recent 2 things with Devin where he said he doesn't warm up at all. He just kind of like flails his arm around and stretches. And then some guys got to like wreck their arm, or maybe for some people it's somewhere in the middle. And then age is going to probably factor into that too. Although, John and Devin are older, but if they don't need it, they don't need it,
I'd say the weird part about you, like, I feel that too. Like I have to wake up. It takes me like 2-3 hours in a practice before I'm like, oh, I feel good.
You're in there. Right.
But the difference with you, Martin, is like there at hour 3 or 4 for me, I will just nosedive, at some point. There's just that sweet spot. And I think it's that way for a lot of they kind of know their sweet spot. Yeah. For you, I don't have you ever
for me, like when I was first training with Alpha and I was training with it was me and ET at night, he'd have those long practices, like 7 o'clock till like midnight. And at midnight, I'd be just really hitting that groove. And I think if it was up to him, we would have went till 3 a.m.
Yeah, we need to find that out. We need to run it.
I would have been fine going 6-7 hours.
Hey, well, I need to build up some endurance. So whenever you guys meet up, dude, invite me.
But I'm to Arkansas with those guys, dude. They'll train with you till morning for sure.
Well, I know Josh and I think Caleb too, right? Doesn't like Mike McGraw go really long there, or like the hours of which they pull in Turlock are very long?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're there till 9, 10 o'clock at night sometimes. You know.
So that's why I mean. The first time I ever got Caleb, the other day afterward, I went by Mike's house for the first time, and it was a small crew, but it was just so cool being in Turlock in the garage and just like getting to pull a little bit. I pulled with Josh and Aaron Blevins, who was a wealth of wisdom. Aaron, like he gave me so much in such a little amount of time that I'm hoping to be able to implement this weekend. But getting back to that, like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'd like to make the trek up there once a month and just pull for as long as humanly possible in Turlock or somewhere up there.
I'm telling you, you would not regret it. Listen, like you said yourself, it's never not worth it because this is a fight of the hand. Caleb introduced me to Mike McGraw and all of them. Once, you know, I came there, I learned how important the center of the table fight is and fighting the hand before anything. I mean, it's cool if you have a bicep, it's cool if you have all that, but if you can't dominate the hand, you know, then what is it? This is a fight of the hand. And they're so knowledgeable of hand wrestling up there and fighting and winning the hand part.
Yeah. You know? And for a lot of people, winning the hand part is completely going around it, right from the get-go, in or out of the strap. And that's successful.
No, this is
step one.
Supinated and a hook. This is top roll. This is anything. It's just full fight of the hand, like, you know, focusing on everything in the hand. I mean, they don't let a finger or you know, any part of your digits go unannounced. They'll say, hey, you need to focus on this. You need to put your pressure here. You need to, you know, do this and keep going. You know, and keep the fight. You know, one of the first things they said when I went there, you know, last year was don't worry about the pin. You know, don't worry about the pin. Worry about, you know, like I said, just getting a dominant spot and continuing to progress your spot. The pin will come naturally, and that was one of the best things that, you know, I've ever heard. You know, as far as
helped me out dramatically.
Yeah.
I do want to say one thing that's kind of off the subject, but being Caleb's here, the first time I ever pulled in a tournament, the first hand I ever gripped up with that smashed me was Caleb.
Really?
That was the first. I had seen him pull. I had been to a few tournaments prior, so I knew it was insane. But you know, you got like a month of practice, and you're like, maybe I'll be okay, you know? So I get up there, and he winds up. You just wind up. You curl yourself like a pretzel up there, you know, you move. And like, you know, and before I know it, my arm is just down and smashed. And I'm like, did I hear anything go on? And Caleb, you're just like, no, not today. That's all I remember. No, not today. And
wait. Was Caleb pulling up a class when this happened or what?
Yeah, I think
he was pulling up. I think, because I think maybe I was 185 or I was pulling a 205, but he was pulling up that day. And
210.
Yeah, it was the 209. Yeah. It was the 209 class.
And it was like, it didn't even hurt because it was so fast, you know. But I was like, oh shit, this is way crazier than I thought. But I already knew I had my hands full just because I had seen him pull. But I think it's kind of cool when, you know, the first person you pull is just somebody that's like kind of you're still aware of, who's fucking awesome. And I just love Caleb. I have so much respect for him, so much support, and probably one of my favorite guys in the state and in the country and in this game. But at least I could always say, like, that's the first guy I pulled. So that's fucking really awesome. So I just wanted to tell you that. I probably told you that 100 times, but I wanted to say
you guys know who in practice, the first pro I pulled was fucking Mika.
Oh! That's not nice.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing that still, Martin. You're looking so strong, bro.
No, man. I'm doing the best I can, but bro, your trajectory, I feel like I'm making progress. I'm going, but your speed is just going more, you know. But it's awesome, man. Thank you, though.
I got a lot of love for you, bro. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Same here, man.
Getting back to the East versus West, man. Caleb, you were on the table with some monsters, bro.
Yeah.
Sam Harris up there. How did it feel, man? I mean, you had some big wins. You had some big wins for sure.
Yeah, so what happened? Yeah, I might have to go. I might have to go soon, but I'll try to recap real quick. Oh, hold on real quick.
Hey, take your time doing what you're doing. I'm gonna check in with the chat here real quick, bro.
Yeah.
They show up tomorrow, 8 in the morning.
Yeah, we got Corey in here saying what's up. Corey Van Meter.
Completely, like, you know,
Jeffrey Ray said he had to cut.
Yeah,
also
yeah, I was
says
quick. I was
Ricky
cleaning up
has
and
the
putting,
hardest or
putting everything in there.
has
I'm about
the
to
hands
go
of
to
the talent. I think that's what he's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Who said that, Kane?
His name is Corey Van Meter.
like move the slides. You can just
And we got Don Mormon in the house saying hi, brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
Corey says about Martin. He
Yeah,
can
those
pull
slides,
for like
they
3-minute
come
matches.
Okay. Hey, I actually have to hop off real quick. My bad. Apologize, guys.
No problem.
It's all right. Thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah, I apologize. Something came up.
We're good.
We'll talk to you next time, man.
Take care, bro.
Okay. Much love, guys.
Yep.
Yep. See you.
All right. Yeah. So I think Corey's talking about Martin saying he can pull for like 3-minute matches. And then he said, set it up. Maybe that's in regards to you and I, Martin. And let's see, we got Jaden saying super match round robin.
Ooh.
Love it. Yeah, Corey says best of 69.
Oh man.
The schmo's in the house saying Kane, my man Caleb. Yeah, Caleb is awesome, and we both kind of started around the same time. We've got a little history together, and he's got the most wins on me recently. And yeah, for pretty much the majority of the time, I think right at the beginning we were close. And I think I got him left-handed or something like that. But
yeah, you got him left-handed at the Patty Pool last year.
Okay. And but we do have him and we have a super match set up for Armfest, which is going to be July 2nd. We've got a bunch of super matches set up.
What's going on with that? I'm not going to be in town, and so it really sucks. I'm like, oh no, all this good stuff's happening. But
where are you going to be?
I'm going to be in Australia.
Oh, awesome,
man.
Awesome.
Hey, if you got to be somewhere,
I'm going to be in Australia for a month.
Okay.
Arm wrestle some kangaroos.
I'm going on fumes, but extended ex-family of mine are there, and they've been trying to get me to go down for a long time, and they may be moving back to the States for a little while, so I want to take advantage of it. It's free room and board, and I'm gonna get to I'm gonna get to pull with Ryan Bowen and Jordan Davis while I'm there. So they both responded to me, and I'm just like, well, I'm gonna try to pick their brains for 4 weeks, you know. And that's not the reason I'm going there, but I figured I might as well take advantage of this time and go while I can, and just kind of like, I got no money to do it, but like I said, free room and board. So other than my dinner, and that's about it. You know what I mean? Just public transportation. I'm just gonna try to enjoy this little journey that I've been on. You know what I mean? And then be back I think I'll be back 2 days before the Arizona. So,
nice.
But
sometimes
I'm kind of bummed.
The best way to do it.
I'm bummed. I'm gonna miss the July thing, though, because the only thing I knew about that initially was Dallas pulling Matt Craig, and now it seems like it's getting bigger and bigger. So
yeah,
that sucks. But but you can't be around for everything, right? So
yeah.
But
okay,
anyway,
who all has pulled Matt Craig here in this call?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is he?
And
Is
I
he
pulled him
good?
in Arizona. I think that was when I pulled. Oh, that was back when I used to be heavy, but strong and heavy. That's
What
when I
year
did
was
the
that?
220 class. I want to say maybe 2016 or 17, I think it was. Yeah, that was quite a ways back.
Wait,
but
you
yeah,
didn't pull him when we were in Arkansas last year, Ricky, at the after pull?
Arkansas.
You mean
Kansas?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Why did I call it Arkansas? Yeah, Oklahoma. Yeah.
I don't think I gripped up with him there. You remember you had like 100 guys on 3 tables, and everyone wanted to keep going. It wasn't like a typical thing, But
it was wild.
No,
yeah.
I got to pull him in Arizona, and yeah, he's very strong, very strong. It's definitely going to be an odd match because from when I read him and reading Dallas, there's a couple spots it can go that can be interesting, or it can go either way. But I mean, I don't know either of their strength levels too well right now, but I'm damn sure it's going to be very interesting between them two because
Is it right or
both,
left? Is it right?
Left? No, I believe it's left.
Okay. It's left-handed. Yeah,
I think so.
And that's Dallas's stronger arm, right? Left? Is it?
But
he's more sticky. He's more sticky left. He's more powerful right, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but his left, I mean, they're both really bicep dominant, but they're both really solid, like, neutral cups, not like fully deep cup, but that neutral kind of just locking the wrist right there, and it doesn't really move from there.
Right.
They're both really good at that. So,
is he a strap guy, Matt? Sure. Is Matt a good strap guy?
I think he's pretty much back and forth. I don't know if anything's changed with him, but from what I remember, I think he does well both. But Dallas does prefer the strap because his style definitely favors the strap for sure.
Right.
Well, we've got Jamie Sheldon in the house saying, "What's up, cheers, boys?" He says, "Yeah, what's up, Jamie?"
Mr. Natfit.
Hey, man.
Yeah, we also have Jaden Knight Sr. saying that he gripped up with Matt Craig last month.
Oh, wow.
He feels like a brick wall.
Wow.
Well, let's vote on this real quick. What does everybody think? I mean, I know we're going to have a little bit of bias here, but what does everybody think? Who wins that match?
Dallas.
I'm putting it on Dallas. Okay. I don't know.
Okay,
yeah, I'd say Dallas. Yeah.
Everyone in the chat, if you want to get on this, who do you think?
I think it's Dallas around the board.
Dallas
Benny, Eric, what do you guys think?
Dallas. I think Dallas, especially if he wears that American flag romper again. He's gonna win for sure.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
Hey, did he have underwear on with that?
Hell no.
Probably not. No.
Every time I see rompers and overalls, I always think of like dudes wearing like overalls with no underwear, and then they leave the button really low on the side, which is real fucked up. But that's all I was like, this guy's junk's gonna come right out of this thing.
He's free balling.
Oh yeah.
We got
Martin's all standing on the side with a curious look, and he catches it. What the hell are you looking at?
The down rack.
Hey, Martin's really focused on this match. Huh? Something about this match.
I didn't mention the romper. Benny did.
No, I did.
You mentioned the romper.
Yeah.
That's funny. I think that's all people think about is that thing now.
Martin, you mentioned no underwear. That was the important part.
I don't know. My whole life, I always see these fucking freaks at Walmart, these dudes where I live with like overalls on with those side buttons all the way the fuck down with no underwear. Like where you could see there's nothing there. So the second I saw Dallas that day, that's the first thing that popped in my head. I was like, please let him have underwear on. but then again, he was on that show with no clothes on, so maybe it's comfortable now. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. How that was naked and afraid?
He's not turning back.
I never saw. Yeah.
He's not afraid of being naked.
Do we know it? And I love Dallas. Do we know anything about that romper? Was it like to intimidate the guy from Florida? Do you know?
Oh yeah,
the dude is from Canada, right? He was.
John Barron, yeah. It's funny, it's represented by Florida a lot. I think he's going to end up living there. But when I was pulling in Florida a few months ago, he was there. So I think he's got a close bond with them.
Yeah.
Corey Van Meter says you've been spending too much time in Florida, Martin.
I've it takes a little while for people to realize I have a very perverted sense of humor. It's like that's my thing. But I don't think anybody in the arm wrestling world really has known about it. But if I end up continuing to do this show, it's probably gonna come out.
Oh man, yeah,
I love
that's the special
humor.
layer in your layers of depth, Martin.
Yeah, that's it. It's all perverse humor. I gotta try to control myself, or else I'll end up there'll be bad comments and I'll end up thrown off of here.
Well, you're
we'll
at that age where you
we'll
just don't
have to
give
make a
F
spook show called Arm Wrestling Up All Night, and we can talk about stuff like that, right?
There we go.
Yeah.
We also got Casey the Grizzly in here saying thanks for coming up, Jamie. Talking to Jamie in the chat. And Jamie Sheldon did have an amazing performance at Patterson.
Oh, he did.
What I saw.
Oh my God, he was unstoppable.
Yeah,
I feel like he showed up and he just knew that he was winning that. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, it's Jamie Sheldon.
There was no
Come
question.
on now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Jamie Sheldon. I mean, no one went there, saw Jamie, and said, "You know what? I think I got a chance."
Nobody.
Nobody.
I knew. I was like, "That's it. Everybody's fucked," But
yeah,
man,
the
he is that guy.
Yep.
And the cool thing about him is he's such an amazing person as well.
Yeah, it's true.
Always cool, always nice, zero amount of ego. He's
such a good guy. Oh man,
you could say it's just natural for him to win.
Yeah,
he has like natural confidence. So I feel like
natural, no pun intended.
Yeah.
No, he really is. He really does have that vibe, man. And he's that same, like you said, no ego. I mean, he's that guy that'll talk to anybody 2 days in the sport, like you've been in the sport for 10 years.
That was me. That was me when I first, met him. It was just I was aware of him from seeing some of the old wall matches, and it was just like no ego, acted like he knew me for like 10 years, so humble. Like, and anywhere I went, he would just, he'd like go out of his way to just come up to me and just talk to me, and I was like, wow, this is, talk about anything. Not even arm wrestling, just life, Awesome guy. Such a good guy.
Yeah, Jamie's top notch for sure.
Yeah.
He was at my first practice with Derek. It was God, walking into seeing Derek and freaking Jamie, dude. Jamie all jacked wearing a Fight Solve Problems shirt. It was partly intimidating and it was partly like, yeah, I'm in the right place, man.
Right.
Cool. We've also got the Schmo saying in regards to Matt and Dallas, Matt will be bigger even with current Dallas. Hopefully Dallas can get the strap/hit and get Matt out of position. If you can't, tough day.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it though. Dallas will get the strap. Whenever Dallas wants the strap, right or left, he will get it.
Yeah.
There's no one now that really, has that kind of amount of hand strength in his class that can just clamp and hold all of his arm from, going where he wants to go.
Right. It'll be a good one. Josh, can you break down all the matches that we do have at this mega practice? We got guys coming from up north, right?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't even know what's all been added to it or not. I mean, you said you and Caleb. I had no idea. I know that I'm coming down. I'm having a match. I know that.
Wait, who's your match with though? Can you say it?
No.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
You got real quiet.
It's a surprise.
Surprise. I like it. All
nice.
Right.
Is it a surprise? I have a match. with
Andy
Benjimac. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I like this.
So
yeah, and Benny, don't you have a match, or are you not going down for that in July?
July what? my wedding's in July.
Yeah, I know.
It's 4th of July weekend. It'll be the July 2nd, a Sunday.
I don't see why not. Do I have a match?
Well, I thought that you and the big boy were gonna. He called you out this time.
Who called me out?
Isai.
Oh, big fella. All right. I mean, I'll take it. I don't care who it is.
I mean, I know he's quite a bit heavier than you, but I mean, so what? It'll be fun.
Yeah, no big deal. I'll pull anybody. Yeah, I'll do it.
Come on down.
I'm heavier
Benny.
than
I'll
Benji.
put you up. We got a spot for you guys. You know,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
We're gonna make a 4th of July weekend out of this big thing. Anybody else?
I know there was some other ones. Ricky Garay is coming from Pismo, and he's having a match with Waldo.
That's gonna be so good. I remember that. They put that together on the call out show.
Any lady matches? Any female matches?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Like one should be thrown in there. There's got to be one that could be made, right?
Yeah, the ladies sector's been a little quiet lately.
That's
I
true.
think we need them to get on here and get a little
mixed
angry,
up a little bit because he said Anaheim, and Anaheim is the Fit Expo, and we've set up rankings matches for that. So like I'm like, okay, do I say those? No. But yeah, we do have a ladies match for that for the Fit Expo, but I'm not sure about
that's a good one.
The Socal Armfest.
Is that the Fit Expo? Is that Terry and Grace?
And Grace,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. And then we also have Ryan Ballesteros is gonna have a rematch with Carl Gerke right hand.
Okay.
Oh, right on.
Caleb is having a match with Will Klingman.
That'll be good.
And then Bill Collins, he set up a couple really high caliber special matches for the event. That I'm sure that we'll be announcing pretty soon. So
cool. Yeah.
It's just 2 matches, but the caliber of the matches, like we're pretty sure is going to draw quite a few people.
Right.
What
it'd be cool? Hey, it'd be cool though. I'd want a super match with Bill.
Dude, he's strong. He's strong.
Oh, I know it. I know it. But just to see him on the table again, prepped and ready.
When was the last time he pulled in a tournament?
Oh,
5 years ago.
Okay.
Well, okay. No, 5 years ago was the last time that he had his arm on the table, like seriously.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not sure of his exact last tournament. I just know that he's a 7-time world champion. WAF Worlds.
At the LA Fit Expo, he was messing around with Ole, and he was holding center table for a while.
Oh yeah. He's
damn.
At Patterson the other day, Bill goes, he comes up because I'm there, like Jamie's like the first one there, and I get there, and so then it's like Bill, and then I'm there, and he comes up and he's like, hey, let me see that hand, right? And I grab his hand, and he goes, oh, your hand's strong, right? And he's like, you need to do this. And, me and Bill have been talking for quite a while. He yanks me down. Look, that
like it was nothing.
That dude's down pressure is insane.
Yeah.
And you can feel it when he's sitting there and he's adjusting your hands, how easy it is for him. He's like, look, I'm going to turn you. It's going to hurt. Like, he really can just turn your hands. Like, he has very strong hands. That'd be exciting to see, Ricky, you and him.
Yeah, I would say definitely the scary part of Bill is his lat, any motion going like that with his arm chopping down is, if he ever went if we ever did have a match, I doubt it would ever happen. But if it ever did, and he came across and did that little swoop down with his lat, there ain't no stopping that. It's
right.
I mean, and he showed that with Ole when he did those after pulls with him. I mean, because Ole is another freaky lat puller who's he can lat drag anybody. And Bill was, dragging him to his side. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is like, wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool to hear. That's awesome.
Yeah. And just imagine, 5 years ago, he tore his biceps. So that's the reason he doesn't really mess around.
Okay.
And that's him still with a messed up arm that hasn't been trained well. Just imagine if he warmed it up and trained for a little while.
It's always freaky. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of
trying to go after all the legends, huh?
Yeah.
Speaking of injuries, the Schmo asks, does anyone know how the lady's doing that hurt her arm at the North versus South event? So does anybody from any of you guys up north have any updates on Rosario?
Did that girl break her arm? Is that what happened?
Yeah. She broke her arm. She broke her
did she get a spiral fracture?
Yeah, the spiral fracture in the humerus.
It's funny because like I wasn't around at that point, but I saw her in the car before I left. And then the last thing I see is like I saw her going into her car, and I was like, "Oh, that girl broke her arm." I wish I would have been there, not been there to watch it, but like I think having broke my arm myself, I always every time I see somebody there, I feel like you want to kind of pay it forward or console somebody, from somebody that has broken it, because that happened to me when I broke mine. Jonathan Hoffman was there, and he had the same break, and it really helped me a lot, like in those initial moments, to have somebody there that had that happen. But anyway, I didn't want to turn into that. But I didn't even know that happened. I think like a couple weeks later, I was like, the information was kind of scarce about what happened with that.
Jake Collins in the chat here, actually, he says she's recovering, but I hear she's done with pulling, at least for the time being.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, for obvious reasons, no one's gonna.
It's a huge mental hurdle to get past, I'm sure.
Yeah, we had her
Hey,
on
you know
the
what?
show shortly after.
Speaking of which, we had an arm break at Patterson as well.
Yeah.
That's I think didn't that guy Eric?
Eric's the one that had broken dude's arm. I mean, he was in a bad position.
Well, the arm broke. I mean, that's a hard thing to put on poor Eric.
No.
I said I meant like it was with Eric. Yeah. No. Eric didn't break his arm. But
yeah, it broke.
Big dude? Was it like a big buff dude that broke it?
Yeah. The one really
like a bodybuilder dude?
Yeah.
Okay. Alex McKeough, he broke his left arm. It was a super unique thing because he wasn't shoulder in behind his arm. They were static in the center, both posting and trying to gain the spot.
Yeah.
Eric started to take a little bit of his hand and jam sideways, and it just broke.
Yeah. It's not always that. Like when I broke mine, it was not in any of those conventional positions. A lot of those arm breaks, they're not always what you think.
But you think him having those big muscles, it probably
absolutely.
I absolutely believe that.
The weird pulling and stuff of the tendons and the muscles contracting and
I don't want to bring it back to me, but when I broke mine, I was nowhere near the size. I mean, I was maybe 20 pounds more than I was now. But I think that all those years that I spent like 275, 300 pounds, huge, you still have that same mindset, and you still have that same mindset of what your strength is. Or I think that mindset of like how hard you can redline and push yourself. For me, I was always good at redlining and going to failure with weights and in crazy weight. So, I'm kind of like in a high hook position with a guy in the center of the table, and I'm just like grinding this guy sideways. So it looks like I'm in the right position, but I'm not like dragging. I'm not cupping. I ain't doing shit. And after 30 seconds, my arm just snaps and falls off the table, So I think that could fall into the curse of strength mindset that you hear, So whether you used to be really fucking strong or really big, or you currently are, I still think it's still that same mindset, and you break your shit.
Well, you see it with a lot of guys who are juicing, man, because not just them, but a lot of guys who are, you definitely see it because they gain so much muscle strength so quickly, and their tendons and bones aren't, adapted to that. So mentally they think they have a higher threshold to withstand, but they don't.
It's interesting because I watching a lot of interviews, I think more so like with a new young crop of guys that are definitely heavily PED'd up, or guys that are, because now, nowadays everybody's a lot more, under the guise of transparent, you know what I mean? Like people are a lot more open to talk about it. Back in the day, nobody talked about shit, in any
except
of the
Michael Hearn.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't talk about any of that, but now people talk about it, and you're always hearing about these guys, especially these bodybuilders that are clearly jacked up, they're like, oh yeah, I got into arm wrestling, and I tore my shit, and my tendons aren't ready for it. It's like, yeah, your tendons aren't ready for it, but you're on a ton of shit, and when you're on a load of fucking juice, this happens in powerlifting and bodybuilding, your muscle gets huge, your tendon doesn't do shit. and you're talking about a tendon-based sport here heavily, and your shit's gonna blow off, you know. And the guys are always trying to put it like it's not the juice, it's just that I'm new in arm wrestling and I'm too strong. No, it's like, yeah, you're strong, but you're gonna tear your shit, you know. And it happens in powerlifting.
Well, I mean,
it happens in bodybuilding. It has nothing to do with, you know. And these guys are not, you know, bodybuilding. You're not jerking around with your tendons, and guys will still blow their bicep right off the bone. Taking too much stuff.
You know, day in, day out, they're used to the same compound lifts, like over and over, repetitive.
Yeah.
So once they start twerking and moving in a different angle, it just their body's not used to it.
You're pulling on an arm, and that arm's pulling away from you. Where like with a barbell, like you're lifting it, and gravity wants to take it down, but it's not like actively like trying to yank you down. That would be like, you know, bench pressing, and as you're coming up, your spotter's pushing it down on you. You know, you're trying to fight it. You're probably gonna blow your pec right off the bone, you know. But so
the two ingredients that I've seen most often that seem to stand out is strong and new. You know, there can be differences and slight differences in the angles. Sometimes people watching one happen, you're like, oh man, and they didn't even really seem too much out here or whatever.
Right.
But you can be strong and you can be new. And the problem is you're strong in a different way than what's conditioned for arm wrestling. And that's why anybody new, they should go to the right sources. Derek and Alpha Empire is great. You know, we never get arm breaks. Because it's just such a slow teaching process that first year to just condition the elbows.
See, like
the bones.
When I broke mine, so
you were a few months in, right?
You were pulling Alan Fisher at the King of Cali. So in that after pull, that was like one of the first tournaments I just went to, or you know, super match.
You were,
and I got on the table with Alan Fisher. Now, mind you, he didn't break my arm, but we got on the table. I was pulling right, and he was doing his, like, you know, that 30-degree angle thing that he does, kind of like that high hook. And he's like, keep your hand open and pull to your pec. So I was doing that, and he's like, oh, he goes, you're real strong with that. So we worked that for like 10 minutes. And then he won a raffle. They were raffling some shit off, and he's like, oh, my ticket just won the raffle. I'll be right back.
Oh my God, that raffle inadvertently caused you to break it.
Yeah. One of his guys, one of his students or whatever, really cool guy, was like, hey, I'm one of Alan's students. Let's keep doing that. So I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. So we go into the same position, but unlike Alan, who was giving as I pulled, this guy, he didn't do nothing wrong. Like, you know, we just kind of got into a match, and we're pulling and we're redlining. And, you know, my brain is like, wow, I've never done this before. Fuck, like, he's not moving me. And it goes 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And, you know, my endurance is already there. Ed Bedrosian standing there looking at it. I can't remember if he was videotaping it. And then like 30, 40 seconds in, just pop. And my whole arm flies out, you know, and it's like as loud as possible, you know, but I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't cup, I didn't drag, I didn't know shit, you know. But with Alan, it wouldn't have happened. But, you know, I didn't know. So the second I got in with the other guy didn't know I was probably my first time on the table either. You know, he probably was just like, well, you know, wasn't his fault. I was cool. I didn't blame anybody. It was myself. But I learned the first fucking 5 seconds going, you got to be out of your mind to arm wrestle. That was the first thing I said. You got to be crazy to do this sport, you know. But
what I've learned and what I've had to work around is because when I first started arm wrestling, you just want to, like, rudimentary, you just want to drive sideways, right?
Yeah.
Well, I figured out, okay, driving sideways hurts a lot. I used to be strong in that area, but I had to really find out how to work around it. So you're coming outside or you're fighting inside of the hook. Right. And that's what I've been trying to develop more, because just trying to drive straight sideways, I just don't have that. Like, I can feel it here a lot.
For arm wrestling, that needs to be conditioned. That's
like cafeteria.
All elbow, all humerus. It's too much for a new person. You don't want to start sideways. It's that
grammar school mentality. You think arm wrestling's this, just right over to the side. And that's why you see those real bad breaks on YouTube. Most of the time, it's like, you know, girls or people at like birthday parties, you know, like, let's arm wrestle, and their shit just snaps right in half sideways.
They're like that far away from the table.
Yeah.
They're going straight sideways, and you just watch the pop.
and how it was one of your or one of Alan's students. You know, this is another reason. And any one of our Alpha Empire practices, we get new people flow in and out. You'll see Ricky and Lorenzo, and you'll see Derek floating through. If they spot 2 new people pulling, they take them apart. That's not going to happen at our practice.
Yeah.
And that's really important, you know, and I really like how Derek puts it, is it can be easy to break your arm, but it can also be easy not to. So it's totally understandable how it can deter people from wanting to get into the sport. But you really do have to be pretty strong, and you have to be very new. So anybody new, if you're worried about that, and you're on Facebook, reach out to Martin, reach out to any of us at Alpha Empire, and there's ways to do this safely. There's ways to get into it, get you know, work on your frame first. And a lot of guys that do it, you know, everyone that's got that bodybuilding or strength sport backgrounds, they want to come in and turn and burn and just pin people and be done with it. But the ones that actually stick it out, oftentimes are these skinny little dudes that come in without much strength background, and almost every single one of them puts on like 20 pounds in like a matter of like 2 to 4 months. And it's different. It's like frame weight. It's not like their muscles get all huge. It literally looks like their bones grew, or like their joints, their tendons or something. You know. I saw that a lot with Isai, your potential competitor. He came in so skinny, and he just like,
he's a 210 or 205.
Oh, he's 205. Okay.
Yeah, he's a 205, but he's like 6'5". He's super tall.
Okay.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting. We after pulled at in LA, the LA Fit Expo. We after pulled, just left, and he definitely has a unique. He likes to do the back pressures. From what I was able to see there, he looked like he had a lot of rise he'd like to go with. So that'd be interesting with just seeing how that goes, because I never arm wrestled in a competition someone anywhere near that tall. So
well, he's alpha, so I mean, he knows how to hook, he knows how to press, he knows how to top roll. I mean, that's the whole point of us. We're well-rounded in every aspect, you know. We don't have no just straight meatheads or no, you know, just scientists on the table. It's well-rounded. So if you run into him on the table in a super match, you're gonna get a little taste of everything.
I did. I got, you know, he battled me in a hook, you know, and he's really good at going to his move, you know, with that top roll and a lot of back pressure, and he uses his body weight and momentum. And I couldn't catch him in time. Like, he would just peel me open, and I'm like, dang, you know, if it was the best out of 25, maybe I had a chance. But
Eric, you were 3 months in when you had the super match. Don't beat yourself up.
I know. I know that. Yeah. And then I re-challenged him 6 months later, and it was still the same outcome, you know. And we went left-handed after, but
how long has he been pulling?
Like 2 years.
About 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's been pulling. He was one of the first people I pulled in tournaments that I went to in the South. When I went to the compound, he was like my first match, and then like my third match, and then I pulled him at Riverside and locked and loaded.
It's so crazy. Like, I know the name, and I'm kind of placing a face, but like I can't figure out who it is. And I know this person.
He was a super nice guy.
Super cool dude.
Super
he has his brother.
Nicest person.
I believe his name is. I think his brother's name is Isaac.
Twin.
Isaiah.
Yeah, the twin brother. Sometimes he'd be walking around with the camera with him.
Oh yeah. Now I know. That's all he had to say. The camera. Yeah. Okay. I know.
Yeah. So speaking of Isai, anybody watching, check out his channel. I believe Ricky is
Isai Pulls.
Isai Pulls. Yeah. They're really different. His videos, they're hilarious, and
they're good.
Good time in it. But he's definitely got his signature ingredients to his stuff. Go check it out.
But okay,
we love you, Sai.
So
he's a great guy.
Feeling you, Benny, because obviously you're my training partner, and then arm wrestling him. I think you guys would be a great match. You know, even though you dropped down to 185, I feel like you retained a lot of your strength, and I feel like you guys are like, it'd be a really good match between you.
Somehow I got stronger as I dropped weight.
Hey, that happened.
I'm the same feeling as you, Eric. Like I said, me and Isai have pulled, I think, 4 times total in the tournaments. And yeah, I think that him and Benny would be a really good match.
Yeah, I think it's
you've got a pretty long arm, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Benny?
yeah. Like Ricky said, he's like 6'4", 6'5". I mean, he's a huge dude. I mean, he's super long.
I know Isai has a super long arm, but you do too, don't you, Benny?
Yeah, you know what? My wingspan's like 6'3" or something, 6'2", but I'm short. I'm 5'9".
Interesting.
So I have slop.
Yeah, Benny has a real long hand and forearm, so it's probably close to the same size on on the pad. So
yeah, me and Benny are literally almost identical with everything. Like our hands are the same size, our wingspan is the same size.
Wow.
We have really long arms, and we're like 5'10".
Yeah, you guys are knuckle draggers. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I you know what? We were supposed to have a super match at like a once or twice before, like and just like somebody else call somebody out, like we there's like, we don't care, we're new enough anyway that it's not like we're like I want Josh Edwards to be, or I want Kane or whatever it is,
Yeah.
So we're just like kind of like whoever, and I don't have anybody I dislike in the sport. I've currently never met a person yet that I'm like, oh, I don't like that guy. So I'll super match anybody. I don't care who it is. But it's been a long time.
You and Ricky, July 2nd.
Yeah, I think I got something for him. Just let him. No, yeah, I'll stick with Isai for now because I think Ricky might be a different caliber.
Yeah, smart choice. Yeah,
hey,
smart choice.
It's just a hunch, Ricky. You tell me if I'm wrong or not. But
bro, I watched Ricky beat Ryan Ballesteros and what was it? Left-handed or right-handed?
Bitch,
that was left-handed. That I pulled up. I pulled up 2 classes as well. So I did the 205, the 220, and then the 232. And I think he was in the 232, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And honestly, that surprised me too. But once I hit and I got that position, I was like, hey, I'm in it.
Yeah.
And
if you got you over here, bro, you just held it out, and I was like,
yeah, if I could stop the match, like 95 to 98% of the matches that I stop, I'll win. Just because that's how I'm built. I have like no hit, so that's why you see these guys with killer hits are the ones who tend to beat me. But if I could stop you right below the pad or right above the pad or anywhere like that in the middle, chances are I got it. I don't know what it is.
Kane's jotting down the notes, dude.
Yeah. Hey,
I know that
you pull me, just hit with your entire soul, because if I stop you, I'm just gonna drain every part of your body.
You had a couple wars before.
I love that. I love the way that sounds. I love it.
Hey, you guys both pull with Alpha, right? Both of you guys do?
Yes.
Oh, so you guys know each other anyway, though.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Me and Josh have to get down there, and Eric and some other NTR guys. We got to get down there and have a practice with you guys. It sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Hey, every Sunday at noon at Grandma's house, we're right there, and we're always more than willing and able to take on some more heads, and we appreciate you guys coming down. If you guys ever do, I mean, more than happy to help you guys, or work with you on whatever you guys want from us. We'll give it to you.
Yeah, we'd be there just to pool and have a good time.
Yeah,
Ricky at the East versus West after party, Ricky was feeling charitable, and I got a left-handed wrestling pin on him.
Yeah.
we were wrist wrestling, going back and forth, but yeah, it was a good time.
Well, we're gonna get a lot of good pulling in at that mega practice July 2nd. Just look for the black alpha shirts. Hook up with any of us. We got a lot of great coaches like Ricky on the team that would love.
So look, I don't mean to go backwards, but we're talking about Ricky. I mean, you also had, a pretty good war against Rob, his brother, up there at Patterson. I mean, you could look at his face after your match and you could see that he was like, whoa,
Yeah. Guys that I never pulled before, they tend to see me, and I don't look like the biggest, buffest guy, but it tends to be once they feel my hand, they say, oh, like what, like just because, genetically I was gifted with really, really big hands. So And they got a fair amount of strength in them, and that tends to make people nervous, and that works in my advantage. But definitely, Robert was definitely a killer. Just the only downside about having these hands is people just shoot for the moon once they feel them, because they feel like they just got to rip me out as hard as possible. They don't want no sort of duration in the match, so they tend to try their best to rip me open. Sometimes Rob, he hit just right. He hit into my lock, and he did something left-handed that no one has ever done till this date. Is he hit right at the perfect time, right before I got my full clicked in lock, and that's how he pinned me. I was like, oh, if I would have just had a little more tightness in a certain direction, I would have stopped it. But it was centimeter, a centimeter of a hit that he did, and I was like, oh, awesome. Yeah, he got it. Very smart, very good hit at that.
That's awesome. Hey, Eli, I don't know if you guys remember Ilya, the big Russian dude. That dude going around. But I mean, yeah, he comes down, to the Florida Cali thing, and he has that, match with Mike. With Mega Mike, and then at Patterson the other day, I know that the rankings have to be shook up because he beat Tom Nelson twice left-handed.
Yeah, he did.
So
has he been around a long time up there or no? Is he new to NoCal?
So he came from Sochi, Russia. Not too long ago, a few years ago. So I guess he's been training arm wrestling for a couple years total. He used to train with Vazgen and David E. and David.
Oh, so he was down in SoCal for a while, you saying?
No, I think over there somewhere. Oh, okay. I'm not sure, but it sounded like it was over there somewhere he used to train with them, or that he did training with them at some point. But now he's up here. He actually works with Caleb and Vadim. And so he gets to arm wrestle a lot. He trains with Jody Smith. And now he just found out that he lives 7 minutes away from Tom Nelson. So Tom was like, hey, dude, we need to train together. So, yeah, I think the dude has a bright future. I mean, and his attitude is it's so contagious. I mean, he's the most humble, sweet, that bear that you don't want to scratch or piss off. I mean, he's the nicest, sweetest dude, but then when he gets up there, it's time for war and there's no playing around. And
I had heard something about he's super young or something like that.
Yeah, he's 23, 24, I think.
Oh my God.
Right. And you look at the frame on that dude, his genetics, I mean, he's thick all the way around. And yeah, just the way he approaches it, every match that he has, he bows to the person and in respect. I mean, it's just a incredible nature that he has. I mean, I think the dude's going to be a killer with the right training. The dude is going to be great.
Doing that well at that age. Oh my God.
Let's not forget Aaron Blevins winning that overall second year in a row, right, Josh?
Oh yeah. Back to back. But the cool part about that is, a lot of people don't know,
what does he weigh?
So now he weighs 185, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know this, but he's a two-time back-to-back AAA national champion, and he actually won the nationals at two different weight classes. He won it, and then he came back the next year above the next weight class. He did the same thing back-to-back with Patterson. So last year, he pulled the 165s, and he ended up winning the overall right hand in a war.
And he beat Jody, right? He beat Jody Smith. Which is
he beat Anderson Oliveira, which is
for the
super
overall
high-level puller. And ended up winning that. And then this year he comes in at 185, one class above, wipes the class out, and then does the same thing. It ends up getting the right way the draw happened. It was first matchup was Tom Nelson and Michael Vaz, and Michael Vaz took enough off of Tom and ended up winning. And then Aaron beat Michael Vaz, and then he just had to finish up with Chewy. And I mean, it was really impressive to watch. Yeah. That dude's
you gotta get him on here.
Yeah, he's definitely a beast, and he has that that old school mentality or style about it too. He's like, hey, let's just grind. Like, I don't care about who's better or who's worse or anything. Like, let's just arm wrestle. That's what I'm here for, you know.
I got so much out of like 10 minutes on the table with that guy at the end of the night by Mike's. It was it's stuck in my head for days, literally. So
even
I wrote
like
him about that. He's got a way.
Last year, at the end of last year, he was in the rankings, like the one, whatever the rankings, he was like right there, number 6, 7, wherever he was. And he had told, you know, Caleb and them, whoever does the rankings, he was like, hey, take me off of this. He goes, I'm a sniper. You know, I just like to come in and just, you know, just arm wrestle. So I think his mentality is cool. I mean, like he has a different approach to it. But yeah, dude's definitely a monster. Like he's incredible. His hit is so fast, and then his hand, he's strong.
Yeah, he was on with us one of our shows, Josh. Can't remember which one it was.
He was on one of the ones that we were promoting for North versus South.
North versus South, okay.
Yeah. And then also
we made the rounds on that one,
Chewy came out, and Kane, you have some history with Chewy. Chewy came out, and this is only, you know, he's only done a couple of tournaments since he started arm wrestling, but he came out and right-handed, undefeated, won the pro class 165. He beat Santino, he beat Jeff, he beat Michael Kochi. So he did really well, you know, as well. He
right
was
or left?
Overall. Huh?
Right or left?
Right-handed. Right-handed, Chewy's a completely different animal. Left-handed, you know, it's cool, but his right is definitely levels above his left. Yeah. And he's another one, even though he has, you know, he's stocky, people walk up and they see this little short guy and they're like, he's not, you know, he's not going to do anything. And they feel that hook and they feel that power and they're like, whoa, you know. He's very powerful.
Drew's a freak in the bicep area.
Good wrist.
He went at North versus South. He went on the practice table after his match with, I think, Will, right?
Yeah.
They went into a hook out back, and I was over there, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to watch this, you know, see what happens here. And in a hook, he was smacking Will around. I mean, this is practice, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but that's nutty because, you know, Will's no joke.
Well, no, in their super match, he beat Will right-handed twice, but Will John Berthington, Will, and I'm not saying that to be like rude, but it was really cool of Will to do that. Leading up to the match, he told Chewy, I want to go in the hook with you and see how it feels. Yeah. So Will did that. And then when Will, you know, showed his experience and his prowess when he was able to, you know, adjust and show that, hey, I can take this match control whenever I want to, basically. But still, Chewy in that hook, Will said he'll never go in a hook with him again after that.
I don't believe that, but I mean, Chewy is unbelievable. I want to get behind that guy 100%. That guy needs a big spotlight. He's killing it, but I'm really excited about Will too. We gotta understand this is not taking away from Chewy at all, but literally Will walked in the door. He arrived in Bakersfield at the exact moment of his match. He didn't warm up. He was checking in, signing his papers, and just walked up there and did that. And that's always been your typical Will, but Will is like very serious now. He's last practice I was at with him, he's training hard now. And apparently certain things with his personal situation, he's able to start traveling. So you're going to start seeing Will at a lot of tournaments. He pulled out a list this long of tournaments, and he's just, you know, picking and choosing out of state, all over the state. So I'm real excited for Will as well. You know, a lot of people need to be looking.
100%. Yeah, we all know his caliber up here, and I Chewy and I, all of us, we all understand that completely. Like Chewy doesn't think he was just so happy for Will to give him that opportunity, and
Chewy's brand new too.
Yeah, we're all realistic. We know what it is at the end of the day. Chewy knows, you know, he knows that Will let him go there and this and that. Will's incredible, dude. I think that Will. And I'm so glad when he came on here talking about how he's serious now, because I do think that dude can really do damage across this whole United States for sure.
Oh yeah, Will
Like,
is the future for
people
sure.
gotta watch out.
Yeah. Corey Van Meter said it changed him. Perhaps. Yeah, perhaps you Chewy, you lit the fire under Will. You know, who knows? But yeah, both these guys are raw talents. And Will's been around a bit. He's definitely he knows his way around the table. It's just it's nice to see him really take some serious steps. So I'm excited for him.
I would definitely say in a 165 setting, the only one that would really make me nervous outside of Alan Fisher would definitely be Will.
Yeah.
Just because his genetic makeup and his ability to understand the situation in such a cool, calm, collected manner. It all ties together. And then randomly he comes out with this super wicked hit that's just like, you don't expect it from this super just sweet, just calm, down to earth guy, and he can just get really violent. And the fact that he has such a crazy sticky spot in his bicep tendon, as well as his brachialis, where I mean he could sit open or in a deep hook and lock these certain positions. And being so long, you don't find that. But I guess, you know, from dealing with all the short guys digging him in the hook, he developed that. And dude, once he really hits his stride, and if he sticks to it, he can be unstoppable. Of anyone, he can be unstoppable for sure.
Yeah, totally agree, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him one time for a couple months when he just wanted to try it out. He started like overeating and indulging in everything, and he was able to get his, you know, genetically skinny body up to 185. And I don't ever want to see him like that again, because that guy was a freak, like unmovable in any way whatsoever. And so I'm glad he's sticking to his size, because he'd hurt a lot of things if he came up a class. But 165, if he sticks to it, he's definitely going to take over. He'll take it from me. He'll take it from Alan. Anybody. He'll just walk all over everybody.
Yeah, Kyle Depew said a while back that out of anybody that he's ever met, that Will had the most natural arm wrestling talent out of anybody he's met. Yeah,
agreed. Definitely.
What's weird is it really does blow my mind that that Chewy could give him so much trouble in the hook, because I mean, a lot of people know Will for his top roll, and he's really well built for that. He's got really good rise. But the interesting thing about his training style, I take a lot from this. I try and learn from his training style, because that is his strength. That is where he's built to go. He's really efficient in a top roll, but it's like he knows that, and so it's not going anywhere. So he spends pretty much all of his time at practice just having people rip into his elbow. So if you train with him for hours, all you're going to see him do is let you be in, you know, have him in this position, and he's just cranking, letting people crank on that thing for hours, and that's how he's gotten so strong in the hook.
Yeah,
that's important when you realize your strengths. There's some people that I can't say which one is the right one. I'm still relatively new to this game, but some people believe when you realize your strengths to really just fully double down on those and capitalize. Some people believe that's something that's probably not going to go anywhere. So start spending some more time training.
So
training.
With that being said, does that mean, like, honestly, I mean, does that mean that Chewy's hook is really that? I mean, it must be pretty good then.
Amazingly good, especially for how new he is. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Chewy, unfortunately, Chewy has a shorter forearm, so he would have to develop a freak hand by, I mean, years and years of training, just hand, wrist, fingers, and stuff like that, because he does have shorter fingers as well. But if he, you know, created a hand and wrist to sink in a hook, like, ain't nobody gonna pull him out of it. Nobody, because that inner bicep lock that he gets when he gets deep, and it's not like he shoves in with his chest or anything. It's pure bicep just like locking onto his arm, and that arm just doesn't move from where he sets it. and he's got a pretty decent positioning set up. It has a couple little things that can use some work, but that's just because he's new. Once he learns his body on the table, I think he'll be able to set it easier.
Yeah, I think his hand is going to be dominant against a lot of people in his class. He does have a strong little hand and a very strong wrist, but even when he's trying to sink that hook, it's at least in my experience and from watching him with others too, he's still trying to go through the hand. But I could definitely see it for guys like Will, long arms, incredibly strong, big hands. If he'd either have to do that, build the hand bigger, or learn how to, instead of trying to go through the hand with his hook. He almost seems like he tries to pull in a high hook with his shorter arm. If he can get around that or chop really quick,
if he dropped down a class, if he got into like 154s, I think he could definitely take over the class at 154. 155s right now, it'd be kind of hard for him. There's a lot. I would say in California, the most talent is 165 right now, currently.
He walks around at Chewy walks around at about 148.
Yeah, see, but we just don't ever really come out with no 154 classes, which is where I think California is lacking, because we have a lot of skinny guys now. A couple of years back, it was all about the big boys, the 200, 220, and it still kind of is. But you're starting to see the limelight go to like the smaller guys, because that's where the more vibrant matches are. The big guys just ain't putting out the fun shows anymore. No one wants to see these two big guys that's like, match over. You want to see these guys just go at it, and that's what you want to see, the grinders, and the young skinny guys are supplying. So I think we need to see more lightweight spotlight, as well as like what we were talking about earlier with the side tables. That's another thing that California needs to pick up on. We need way better setup on these tournaments to get tables. Seem to be just a hindering factor everywhere.
It shouldn't seem to be a problem, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has 1,000 tables, but every tournament we go to, you got the promoters asking for tables or side tables, and it's like, come on, guys! Like, some guys need to warm up. Some people just want to arm wrestle. And I mean, if you got 1,000 people that are arm wrestling, more people are going to want to be a part of it, as opposed to one stage with two guys going at it. That gets boring. I don't care who you are. I mean, really don't.
I remember going to powerlifting events back in the day, and it's like they have all these extra benches and squat racks. The guys are in the fucking back, like, going through their move, and you don't want to have to just be standing there pushing on another guy's pec while you're, trying to get a little bit of pressure. But, like you said, I don't know why it's so hard to get a couple extra tables, but I don't know.
You're really looking for a fluffer, aren't you?
An arm wrestling fluffer, Is that's going to be a new term.
Now hiring arm wrestling fluffer worldwide.
Exactly.
Let's hop back in the chat a little bit. We had what was it, Corey Van Meter. You seem to know a lot about a lot of these guys. Is Van Meter not? I'm guessing that's not your last name. I don't know who you are. You said long fingers. I'm sorry. What's that?
He's alpha.
Is he?
Yes.
Which? Oh, Corey. Oh, okay, okay. He's also a lightweight guy, probably like 140, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And he says long fingers too, talking about Isai. Yeah, we got like, just on our team alone, I want to say what, Ricky, like 5 or 6 guys that are under 140?
Yeah.
And they're coming in new, a lot of them. We got Derek Trung.
I mean, hell, my son's 9 years old. He's 5 foot tall, 130.
Yeah, Malia just said we need to do a like featherweight showcase. Get some of these people on here. And yeah,
are these guys actively pulling?
Yeah,
that we're talking about. Are these guys pulling?
Yeah,
because it's starting to seem like there's so many guys with so many teams, and I feel like 90% of everybody's no longer competing. So I'm just wondering, I mean, like with new guys, you know,
a lot of the new guys are having issues, and that's been something that me as well as a couple of the other, you know, heads of teams have been talking about. A lot of the younger guys are just straying away from competing, and we just can't figure out why.
Is it fear?
I don't think fear as much as a lack of ability to kind of suck them in.
Okay.
You know, there's no want, there's no
an incentive, you mean? Like just
you know, there's not enough guys really checking in on the new guys, like, hey, don't be worried, no one's here to kill you, like we're just here to have a good time. Like I go out and have these talks with these young guys, and they're like, you know, you're the only one that, you know, talks to me like this, and I'm like, why? The whole point of this is to have fun. Not one of us, the most famous arm wrestler here or there, ain't making $1 million off of this.
Yeah.
So you might as well have a good time with your boys and bring more in, so everyone could have a good time doing this.
Because, you know, I mean, obviously I'm competing constantly, and, you know, I have since the second I started doing it. And I'll talk to a lot of these guys, you know, and it's like, and it's interesting because, like, they'll be like, oh man, it's so cool, you're competing a lot and all that. And you would think, because I'm really approachable, I'm nice to all these guys, and I love talking to all these new guys, but it's still, you still don't see them show up, you know? So like, I'm wondering what is it? You know what I mean? And I don't know. And that may be everywhere. That may be everywhere. I'm not saying, I don't think it's just specific to one team or one club. I think there's something about it. And I don't know what that is, you know, especially considering the popularity of arm wrestling and how many people are coming into the sport. It's interesting to see people kind of sit in that other realm, though, where they'll show up at the practices and Brewheim and all that, but then not make that other leap, or not often.
I don't know if there's anything to it, but I see a lot of the people from 165 to like 200 or so that come in, get out there and compete pretty quick. I think there's two ends of the scale here. Oftentimes it's the really big dudes that are really tough. They're afraid of hurting themselves, or there might be an ego thing because they're coming from another powerlifting background or whatever. But then you got to look over here at Corey Van Meter, who just corrected me and said he's only 114 pounds.
Wow.
I mean, we got these guys new on the team that are floating around that 120 to 130 range. And we don't really have the weight classes for him. I can understand it's pretty.
What does Danny Dowler compete at, Josh? Do you know?
He weighs 138. That's where he competes at nationally.
He gets out there. Yeah.
He puts a few more pounds on there. Brandon Rain walks around at 125 pounds.
Okay.
You know, he's national, like at his weight class, he's like one of those dudes. But it's so hard for them, like Riggy's saying, there's nothing here for them. But leading back to, you know, trying to get the guys involved, and not saying that this is like the way, but one of the things that I do, and I've done it from the very beginning, is I have my 8-seater SUV, and I get everybody up in my SUV together, and we go on the road together, and sometimes we'll have 2 cars following each other, whatever we do. I went 2.5 hours out of my way to pick up Caleb to go down south. I went 3 hours out of my way to pick up Chewy and his team. Like, I think that creating that vibe, creating more of that vibe of that team road trip, that let's go and kick some ass, like all of that. I feel like it is easier to get the newer guys involved.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And one idea.
Not saying you have to, drive everybody around. That's not what I mean. But getting everybody together.
What I'm hearing is self-initiating things, the community, and there's the certain platforms that are great for this, especially since super matches are becoming so popular. We've got those mega practices at Armfest in Anaheim and Brewheim. That's, I feel like, the North guys were wanting to come down, and that's why it ended up being a perfect platform to put together some super matches. There's North versus South. I think there's certain ways that, the community can help make this possible through, if there's combined practices or big practices, running some super matches with some of these lighter people with real refs that can give them that experience. I could see it being harder to to make happen, to facilitate at these bigger tournaments where the promoters got to put all this money and stuff into it, you know.
Yeah.
I also, you know, and I don't, I have a take on some of this though too, and I think that this is also a problem that happens when things become more popular. You know, I think with the growth of the sport, I also feel that there's a big line between people that want to arm wrestle competitively and people that want to deem themselves arm wrestlers. I think in our society in general, there's a lot of people that like the idea of saying, and I think there's a lot of people in our sport, you know, in our area that like the idea of telling people like, hey, I'm an arm wrestler. And they can say that by, you know, going to a practice and being around it. And I think that that line between being a dilettante or a dabbler and actually doing it is huge. And I think that no amount of us trying to cajole them or talk them into it or whatever is going to change that. I think that's something inside. I think somebody either wants to do it or they want to identify with the idea of it. It's like with MMA, you know, how many guys back in the day were joining Muay Thai gyms or jiu-jitsu gyms to roll around and get the gi and, you know, and put the gloves on. But then they never even go to the point of doing a smoker match with headgear, you know, but wear the tap out shirt, you know, put the tap out bumper sticker on. And it's great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it because I believe arm wrestling could also be something you just like to do. You like the camaraderie. You know, it don't have to be a team. It could be like an arm wrestling club. You just like doing it. You like the feel of arm wrestling, you know. But I am concerned as the sport grows larger and larger that you do have that, just as you have trolls and you have people that are totally into arm wrestling that have never arm wrestled. You know, you got guys like, I don't know where Pradeep is at this point, but you have guys like that. You know what I mean? Guys are like fully engaged in it, but have never, ever even gripped up with a guy. So I wonder how many guys, you know, we have in teams that are joining up that just like dealing with, you know, identifying that they're an arm wrestler now or that, but going into getting smashed on a table and taking that is a whole nother story, you know. I think there's a huge margin there, you know.
I never really thought of that perspective, but on one end, we have to also consider the fact that, you know, that's a big sign of growth in the sport, you know.
Yeah.
It's actually cool to consider yourself an arm wrestler, you know, or people to actually want to, you know, track it, follow it rather than compete in it. That's a big sign to me that the spectator side is growing. I also like for those that just like to come practice instead of compete. I like that shows the dynamic of the community of arm wrestling.
Right.
That it's not an ego-driven thing. That there's people that actually just enjoy going to hang out and practice and everything. I haven't really thought about it in that perspective. For me, the two biggest sides that I see is there's those that are hungry, that are in it just for the competition. They're in it just to rise the ranks. They want to compete. They want to be the best. And I think that's great. And for me personally, this is why I can identify with some of those people that don't want to go out and compete. I like the competition. It's a big part for me. But if I'm being honest with myself, there's like arm wrestling and going to train with my team and just spend hours training with them. It fulfills my life.
Right.
It gives me something fitness wise, spiritually, physically, more than I can ever get from a gym or anything like that.
Right.
It's different. It's special.
I agree.
And so it's that fundamental alone is like my biggest drive for the sport. The competition is just an added incentive.
Right.
It's fun, you know.
Yeah, I think within, you know, all of these different categories, you have multiple categories within it. You know, like I said, I think, like you're saying, some people, you know, you just love arm wrestling in the community, you know, and for me, I love that. To me, that's That's what I love the most. I just love arm wrestling. Then on the competitive side, I do like competing to test myself. Like in my brain, I'm never thinking about like, oh, one day I can maybe make the top 10 in the open. Like I have no, it's like even things like nationals and like, you know, you hear about people going to nationals and all that. Like I just, for myself, like the idea if I continue to get better and better and all that great, like I have no, there's nothing in my head that imagines me even like being remotely intrigued by going to nationals. Like nothing. Like I'd rather just arm wrestle in a t-shirt and jeans everywhere until like the day I drop dead, whether I win or I lose or get fucking crushed. Like I just don't care. I like the tournament aspect of arm wrestling and I love practicing for like hours on end. And that's where it is for me, you know, so it sits in both places, but it doesn't sit anywhere in the sense of like rankings for me, you know. Like,
I'm right there with you, Mark. Same here.
I may very well go like, oh, well, it's kind of cool. Like I'm in the top 10 in the 185, you know, that would be great. You know what I'm saying? But like in my head right now, I don't think none of it is driven by that, you know, and that could change, you know, but I do, like I said, in all the different categories, I think that that's the cool thing. It does offer something for everybody, you know, and I hope I wasn't mistaken when I said that earlier. I was just thinking that like there could just be a lot of guys involved right now that are just content with, you know, like showing up at Alpha, showing up at Brewheim, showing up at the compound and physically, spiritually, and just that bond, you know, because people are coming from different aspects of life. You know, some are the tremendous amount of introverted people, you know, in the sport, and it could just be filling a certain thing, you know. But I think that's what makes it cool. That is. So I don't want to mistake that I had a.
All I heard was different. Yeah, and I think
it's wonderful. You know. I love the idea of like an arm wrestling club. Sometimes I worry that the term team can alienate people because they feel like they have to compete, you know. So almost sometimes I think like back in the old days, in the 40s, there'd be clubs, you know, for things. And sometimes that's a little maybe less intimidating to some people. But yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Speaking of a little something for everyone, so we have like some cool, well, maybe interesting things coming up. We have these tournaments that we're doing in these super matches in Anaheim and then Bill's tournament. But after that, we're going to do a couple of new things. Casey wants to, and he's working with Devin there right now to do the Freedom thing. And awesome. So he's going to do that. Cool. You know, and we're all going to support him and Nowhere to Run is, you know, going to be on board with that. And we're all going to do it together. And then we're going to do a cool little new tournament. I've seen it a couple of places, but we're going to do a Nowhere to Run tournament that's strap only, right? And then at the end of this year, straps. No, straps only, Nowhere to Run, right? And so all matches will start in the strap. And then we're going to do like a themed based tournament. I'm sure everybody's seen the movie Over the Top and the theme song Winner Takes It All. So we're going to do a winner takes it all tournament where only first place of each class is going to get the cash prize, but it's going to be a much bigger cash prize.
Hey,
so everybody
please eventually throw in an old school wrist wrestling one where you keep the hands clasped underneath. You know the one I mean, like the old Petaluma. That would be awesome too.
I don't even think they have those tables anywhere anymore.
But you could do it on a flat. You know, where the opposite hand, the two guys are holding each other's hand.
Yeah, your forearm is the pin pad. Yeah.
Hey, I think that would be cool, seeing these things. I think it's great ideas, bro, honestly. I know when Casey put up the thing about the Freedom, there were a lot of people against it. I know there's a lot of people that don't like it for fear of whatever, but you know, I think it's just an adjustment. I think it's just something you have to learn how to deal with, you know.
I look at it like this, man. Like nobody knows any better than anybody else. And I definitely don't want my words to sound like I'm stepping on toes or anything that's been done. But I look at it like this, and I've thought this since the beginning. Arm wrestling has been the same since it started.
Yeah.
What's wrong with trying things that are different? to see where it can go. We want the sport to grow, and we've seen the growth that it's had with the same consistent, regimen that we've been sticking to. Let's see what happens when we mix things up a little bit. We might get
Absolutely.
And while you even say like arm wrestle stay the same, if you look at it, when you look at like the arm wrestling archives and you look at the past 30 years, there's been so many versions of it too. Like if you look at like Eric Rusin's arm wrestling archive, like I was just reading an article the other day about like how in the 80s, there was an organization just was called Power Arm Wrestling, and I talked to Alan Fisher about this, where it started in the hook, you know what I mean? And it was just hooking, and it did incredibly well for years. So there's a lot of things where like you could almost go backward sometimes to versions of that and bring it back, and it's almost new, you know what I mean? Because it's all arm wrestling, and it's like people will bitch about the freedom, but then you got the Japanese table sumo, which is, a version of it. And nobody's complaining about that, But then when it's tied to Devon and freedom and maybe the rules are different and people want to bellyache, but, nobody's pulling anybody's arm to, nobody's making you do it. But I think it's awesome. So when I saw Casey posting and what you're expounding on now, I think it's a great idea. If people don't want to be involved, they have to be involved with it. But there's a lot of people that do, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's awesome.
All right, I'm getting ready to dip out of here, guys.
Okay, man.
Right, hey, but before I do, it looks like in the chat, who's Jake Collins?
He wants a piece, man.
Yeah, who is?
He wants a match with you too.
Jake Collins. Wow.
It sounds familiar.
He wants a match with who?
A guy named Jake Collins in the chat.
He wants a match with
you?
Me, yeah.
Oh, get out of here, Jake. Jake's 240 pounds. Tell him to go home.
I don't know everybody's. I don't know everybody's name yet or anything like that, but I know I've heard that one somewhere. But I can't put a.
For a second, I got freaked out and I thought it was Jake Smith, and I was like, "What?" My brain went out. I was like, Jake Smith. I was like, "What? Really?" And
we've got Rib Slug that says Boss Benny. We all love you, Benny, and you did a really great job.
Benny, you did a great job, man. And you had to wear multiple hats doing that ref. That's I don't know how you did that. That was stressing me out more than anything. So
he wore multiple hats with the same comb over underneath them. I'll tell you that right
now.
And we look forward to seeing you down here for Armfest too, July 2nd.
You know what, Jake? I don't know who you are, man, but I'll pull you anyway. Okay.
Oh yeah, Jake. That's the way to do it.
All right, guys.
Benny, I just want to say, bro, I've only gotten to know you recently. You're a really good dude, man. It's a pleasure to be around you at the tournaments.
Thanks, man.
Your positivity, your attitude, you're just a good dude, and I like being around you. I just want to tell you that, man.
Dude, thank you very much, man. You too.
Yeah, thank you so much, bud.
Yeah.
Well, you have a good rest of your day, man. Night.
All right, I gotta start working out. I gotta pull a 240-some pound Jake Collins now. All right.
All right. Go get it, man. Have a good night.
Guys.
Take care, man.
You guys, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Jake says, "That's what I like to hear, brother." Yeah, man. We still got a few people in here. Yeah, I mean, this has been a long show, guys. It's already 9:42, 2 hours and 40 minutes. This might be the longest show we've done, Josh.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This is a good show. That's for sure. We got a lot of points across. Hopefully some of our concerns hit the right ears, I would say, because, we got to start talking amongst ourselves more about, changing this game up. It at times can get pretty stale, so it's up to us to keep it alive, because without the guys like us doing stuff like this, you guys arranging the shows, those of us teaching and trying to move forward and be inclusive, it dies. And could you really imagine this going back into the shadows the way it was? Let's be real, in the 90s, early 2000s, arm wrestling was in the fucking shed down the hill. It wasn't really too much of anywhere. Now we got it back out, maybe not quite what was it, 2012 on TV or anything like that, but we're still doing all right. We got a lot of guys coming out. What was that, Leroy Walker, just started getting into it. And then we got what's that one other guy, that power lifter? Can't even think of his name right now.
Wise, yeah.
You talking about Larry Wills?
Larry Wills, there you go. Yeah, I can never think of his name. He's bringing the spotlight out, and we got a couple of guys saying, "Oh yeah, I'm here because of Larry Wills or because so and so," and that's nothing but good. But that's only an ember. We gotta add some logs on that and turn it into a fire.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because if you got only 5 guys at the tournament, you ain't gonna be able to say, "Hey, let's go old school. Let's start into power hook." But you got 1,000 guys there. There's gonna be quite a bit. They're like, "Hey, we could do that." So let's just keep pushing this forward and keep pumping this content out because I know everyone wants it. So, and we got some good stuff going here. So. I'm really happy to be on the show with you guys. Really appreciative and glad that you guys are open ears and open minds to everything that gets tossed at you, even all the random stuff. So yeah, appreciate you guys.
Right on, man. Yeah, thank you, Ricky, and thanks for coming on, and thank you for coming on, Martin. It has been a really great show. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for dropping in. Jake, Corey, Jamie, we had a bunch of you guys in here. We really appreciate all of you. We'll be back here again next Tuesday with a new one, and thanks for spending your time with us, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Have a great night.
Again, see you guys all soon. Everybody be well.